in the hallway, like dudes be like, "Ooh, ooh," like that was. We heard
Man,
that all the time.
this is the difference. I went to high school in Jersey. You ever see the movie?
Yeah, I mean,
You ever see the movie?
That sound was almost solely admitted by black dudes.
Exactly, or Puerto Ricans. You ever see the movie?
Actually, no, not really.
Really?
Yeah.
The movie.
And the other, what the other thing was like some of my friends. This is actually in junior high school. It was like we're trying to like make a gang.
Mm-hmm.
It was like half of my friends were black, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but we wanted to call ourselves the Birds, So we were like, we made these sounds, right? Like,
Oh my! This is like way before that stupid song.
What is that song? What are you
There's a
talking
bunch
about?
of these stupid hip hop songs where the people just go.
I have no idea what you're talking about. They ripped me
Good.
off.
Keep not knowing. It's actually better not to know. Actually, in this particular case.
I think you're right.
Well, I want to dedicate this to our friend Norm MacDonald. A blessed memory.
Norm MacDonald.
And I just want to say that I am so happy that Hashem did not send me a wife before this pandemic started. Because who the hell knows what this person would have thought of everything. Who the hell knows what this person would have done with my children?
Dude, can I tell you something?
Who the hell knows?
Can I tell you something?
No.
So people, call me all the time in a panic. Obviously, they're trying to reach my brother. But so, cannot tell you how many times it was. Sometimes it's a lady. Sometimes it's a man who's panicking, saying, "Please, can you write a letter or something? Can you testify in court? Because my wife, she wants to go vaccinate the kids, or in some cases, my husband was going to go, and the panic and I cannot give it over how bad I felt for these people and how horrible, how scared they are.
It's like a person calling you and saying, "Can you please help me? My husband or wife, they are basically trying to send my child to Auschwitz. Can you please stop them?" There's nothing you can do. It's like calling, the freaking attic of what's her face.
And there's nothing we can do. There's nothing.
What's that girl? Anne Frank.
Yeah.
This is just. And if anybody's offended, I don't give a damn. Go be offended.
I notice you say that quite often.
Yeah.
And my question is, it never even occurred to me to think that somebody might. I know they might be offended. It never occurred to me to care about it.
Ultimately, I don't give a damn, but I just want to let people know that I don't give a damn. I want to be open about that. I don't give a damn. Meaning, not that I don't give a damn if they had relatives who died in this event. I dafka do give a damn. That's why I see the parallels here, and I don't give a damn if they're offended by the comparison. Because if they don't understand why I'm making the comparison, they don't have a grasp of history. They just have a grasp of the already the final stages of it, but they don't even have a grasp of how it got to that point, because they're morons. It's very simple. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like, we have to create a scale, right? Let's make a scale of how to rate people in levels of morality.
Listen, your brother put it simple today on Shmalik Shmon's show today, Dafka today.
He was on Alex Jones?
Yeah, I sent you the link. Your brother, first of all, I'll just say a couple of things. Your brother, I don't
have time to watch my brother.
No. I'll give you a very, very short Cliff Note synopsis right now on 30 seconds standing on one foot, Hillel style, of what your brother said. Your brother got into the whole thing. He reviewed, a lot of it was review from, kind of algebra class from the last year, of all the people involved and this and that, spiritual, this. And then he went on to basically say, yeah, he's like this whole kind of what we call in Yiddish zach situation is just going to weed out the people who are dumb and the people who are smart, or the people who are connected to Hashem. Like he said it in kind of a very more, because he's talking to Shmalik Shmon, so he goes just like the people who are have the God consciousness and the people who don't. And and by the way, we're including like Talmidei Chachamim in this. We're including people who are very Torah learned in this, who may not have God consciousness, or not what's necessary to avert horrible disaster for themselves and their families. And then when you wanted to say, he actually addressed the whole thing with Trump. He goes, listen, Trump was duped. It's your brother's opinion that Trump was duped. And also, it was
very generous.
No, not only that, but listen, get a load of this, because he knows for a fact, because he knew that Trump, what happened was Trump was pushing your brother's treatment, right? And then what happened? And then what happened? Your brother's treatment became the Rebbe Kahana of the medical world.
Of treatment.
Yeah. So Trump had to distance himself from the Rebbe Kahana of treatments, and go into the the operation whatever fast.
That's not what happened.
No. But I'm just paraphrasing what your brother said, and then what happened? So this is according to your brother. So you could talk to him. Don't talk to me. Talk to him. So he went on to say that then Trump actually had a plan to after he would be reelected to immediately go back into the preventative treatment to drift away from the vaccine, or tell people, listen, if you want gam v'gam, like you want to take this, take that. If you want to take the preventative, take not be draconian mandates. All right,
that's the way he's been since then.
Yeah, for sure. But like, so he's saying so in the end he goes, I really hope Trump kind of comes to his senses. He's like, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, and he should just like recant his thing and whatever it is. And that's basically what he said. But he said Trump is, but he goes, at the end of the day, Trump is he said Trump did a lot of good and this and that and the other, but at the end of the day, he has a narcissistic personality, and he wants to shore up his legacy, and he wants to let people know that he's the one that did the fast thing and fast track and whatever it is. So,
yeah.
I mean,
I think that Trump, he definitely was trying hard to push the preventative treatment, and when he saw that the insane resistance that was happening, so he didn't necessarily think that was going to be a possibility anymore, because the infrastructure in which he was working, right, with all these embedded parasites, he I guess logistically saw that it wasn't going to be allowed to happen.
Yeah. It was kibosh. They put the kibosh on it.
Yeah. So
there was also these guys, the deep state guys. He mentioned the names, your brother, of the two people that basically like put emergency authorization on your brother's thing, which meant that it would like render it nothing. Just inoperable.
Yeah. So this Trump, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So this Trump vaccine thing is very, very disturbing. It's the worst. Mm-hmm. It's really the pagam of his whole of all of his work, and it's absolutely mysterious. Yeah. Because it's very difficult to accept that he was duped, and it's also very difficult to accept that he is part of this.
So could it be like some kind of a weird psyop, knowing that he knew that the Democrats would not, it's almost like he's trying to set the Democrats up. That's the only thing I can think of. So later on he could show, you see, when I was making this thing, the Democrats didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, but then when they won, they started doing mandates. So it's like these guys it's got nothing to do with health. He could go and prove that later. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's what I was thinking.
It's like this total flip game.
I'm saying ahead of time that this is not a finished thought, and it's kind of dumb. Yeah. Yet there's something. Maybe he wants to see if he can perhaps take credit for it, right? Because if it becomes his thing, then they're going to want to distance themselves from it, and they're going to stop with the mandates.
Could be.
Is that but that also doesn't feel.
That doesn't feel good because at the end of the day, it's like, no, they could just say like, thank you very much. Like Biden said, he gave him credit. He did give him credit, and then they could just go on with their stupid diabolical crap.
Yeah, it
As if they
doesn't.
care.
There's something. It doesn't. The only way to like remedy this, right, is to say that there's some aspect of consciousness.
Oh, hold on a second, man. Hold on a second. Sorry. All right.
You gonna edit that?
No, it's fine. I paused.
Okay, cool.
So
there's now this is getting a little bit, like woo-woo, okay?
Yeah.
But Trump is not giving me a lot of leeway. I want to give him as much slack as possible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So his stupid doubling down constantly with the vaccine. The only way I can see now is that perhaps there's some aspect of consciousness which is at play in this whole situation.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. This is the idea that keeps coming up over and over and over again in Torah, and also recently with the UFO stuff, right? With the Tic Tac stuff, right?
Yeah.
People are saying that it's more than just a machine from a different planet. It is a physical object.
Yo,
it is
real. Can you hold on 1 second, man? I'm so sorry again. Just 1 second. sorry,
okay,
dude. I'm so sorry. It's just, dude. I'm telling you, there's just you understand. I'm in a Russian house. I'm sorry.
I understand, dude. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Sorry about that. You were saying?
That's okay, dude. I was just kidding, by the way.
Yeah. No, I hear.
Yeah. It's funnier to do that than to be like, okay, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it could be related to consciousness somehow. Where, look, this is like a word, a concept that is now popping up, like in every sphere of of interest, every sphere of life. So Torah, it's always been about consciousness. Okay, whether or not. Even though most Orthodox Jews don't seem to be, hooked into that, that awareness. Yeah. And then, recently with the Tic Tac stuff, the experiences that the Navy pilots and the high-level, military officers have been experiencing. So it's both an artifact, not an artifact, it's both. It has aspects of physicality, but also consciousness seems to mold it to some extent. It seems like the things that are appearing to these people, even though they are physical, they do manifest in physical, they seem to have something to do with the consciousness of the person observing it.
Yeah.
Okay? So the appearance of the object seems to be affected by who's looking at it. Okay? So perhaps on a very, very deep level, right? And this is where I worry that some of the rabbis in Israel, right? Like I think they're trying to operate on this level where if they can kind of get their followers, right? Like to do this, right? But if they get involved on some consciousness level, then that can somehow avert.
Oh, you're saying it's almost like some of these rabbis are saying, take this stuff, but it's not going to harm you because I'm going to manipulate this.
Yeah, basically.
They're not telling them that, but it's essentially what they're doing.
Right, like Hashem, because they are following the orders of the Rebbe, and the Rebbe makes his own, kind of deal spiritually, right?
That's a dude. You know what happened in 80 years ago, right? With all the people that listen to those guys.
I know. This is what I'm scared.
Yeah.
That I think this is what really a lot of people who know something's funky with the schmacks, right? Mm-hmm. And then when they have their trusted spiritual leaders tell them to take it, so they take it on faith, right? And then, so because they believe that it must be that their spiritual leader made some kind of special deal for them.
Dude, can I tell you the craziest thing? I have a friend who is a Baal Tshuva like me. Went to one of these yeshivot where it's like a mix of Hasidut and Rav Kook and this and that and the other. He's an American guy. He lives in Israel. Has kids, and he told me, and he's into the sciences. He's into like all. He knows about mRNA. He knows about how scientific publications work. He knows about all the inner workings of these things. And the guy told me that when he spoke to his personal, like his mashpia, his Rebbe told him, let's not be too smart. Let's not get too smart here. And I'm just like, what in the actual F?
I can kind of explain that. Can I explain that?
He's a very intelligent guy, but he's also a very tapped-in guy. And after the first, after the first two shots, he already realized he was the one that sent me the Dr. Malone video about the cytotoxicity. He was the one. This guy, after two shots.
Yeah.
And it was already, and he understood that that's it. He made a mistake. He's the only person I met ever who just came to me and said, I made a mistake. And then he still took the third. Why? Because there's a work at work, and he held it off, and he couldn't, and he, whatever.
So listen.
It's just.
Can I explain the mindset?
Yeah.
It's. I'm not saying that it's being employed correctly, but the principle. They're trying to work with a real principle.
Yeah.
Something that's real.
Something that exists.
Something that exists. And I have my own way of calling it, of explaining it. It's called "Don't look into the wires."
Yeah.
Which means, like, people who, like, I've had personal situations I can't go into.
Okay.
Where you start to be like, oh, you got to take this supplement and that supplement. You got to go get this test and that test.
Yeah.
And look at this, all this kind of stuff. So really, all of that stuff. The more you look into the wires, right, the more it has to behave in the way we perceive nature to be.
Yeah. The more it's derech hateva.
The more it's derech hateva. The more hidden it is, the more chance there is for God to do miraculous things without exposing the fact that it's happening. God likes to hide behind nature.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay? So if you start to micromanage, if you start to look at every wire in the machine, you're not leaving
room for God.
Hold on.
Sure.
She's not listening to. She's not laughing at me.
Oh.
I don't think.
Oh, okay.
She's watching something.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, the less you look into the wiring, the more room there is for God to work His, to work, to kind of bend the rules.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think that I don't know how people, make. I don't know the technicalities of how to make contact and have, negotiations with heaven.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know those techniques. I don't. It's a very complex system. Okay.
Yeah.
The bureaucracy that exists in heaven, right, and its relation to our world is more complicated than bureaucracy of man.
It's more complicated than Misrad Panim, the Ministry of Interior of Israel, which is quite complicated as it is.
Right. Okay. So the question is, like, why did God have to make it so complicated? He obviously didn't have to.
Yeah.
I think that it's part of maintaining the matrix, meaning, like, the more God seems like disconnected from us, meaning, like, you have, the more, like,
the more work you have to do to reach Him.
The more work you have to do, even though, like, for instance, let's say you come to the king you come to the king's palace, right? You want to pass him a message. So you can't just get in there. So first you knock on the gate if they have let you near, and then it goes from messenger to messenger to messenger until it reaches the king. So that's how it would be with human beings, right? But God is such a king that he already knows what's in your head before you're going to think it, and even before you show up to his gate. And even though he still wants you to go through the motions of going through the messenger, from one messenger to the other messenger, I don't know what the reason is. I think it has something to do with maintaining our own existence.
Yeah.
Understand? Because if there wasn't enough, if there wasn't some kind of spiritual rigmarole that we had to go through in order to, God he set these spiritual rules that we have to follow.
I feel like we would all just be like poor aesthetics living in Tzfat if that was not the case.
No,
all of us would. All of us would.
We wouldn't even exist. God has to maintain this distance to facilitate the illusion of our separate being.
Yeah.
I think that's why that's the mechanism of it. But that's beside the point. But back to the main idea, which is that we're not supposed to look into the wires, and I don't know how spiritual leaders who really do have a real connection to this whole thing, so I don't know how they negotiate. I don't know how. There is laws, there are spiritual laws of physics, right? And that's what spiritual leaders know. They know how to negotiate. They know how to navigate through this mess. Okay, and I think that's what some of them are trying to do. Not all of them. I mean, a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are I think are on the other side, actually.
Well, either they're on the other side, or there's an element of just ego there, or kavod, or maybe somebody got paid.
After 2 years,
maybe somebody got paid. Maybe somebody got threatened.
Yeah, I mean, it would seem that some of these Jewish community organizations that are that are responsible to help with the health care of the Jewish community, it would seem that they received large donations.
Oh my God, yeah.
Okay.
Can I tell you something, man? Which
is dependent on them pushing the vaccine
right before
against their own people.
Right. So listen to this. Right before I moved back to Israel I moved in January 2020, right before COVID. And December, I believe it was, or November, I was invited as a friend, kind of a plus one, to the annual dinner which is held in New York, but it's an annual dinner of the friends of, American Friends of La La La, hospital, I'm not going to name which one. And it's just literally these things, and we know about this, but it's just amazing it's one thing to hear about it, it's quite another to actually attend one of these things, and just to see that it's just a festival for patting each other on the back. That's not to say, the person that they honored, he was the one that built the thing from the ground up, and he saved a lot of people, he helped a lot of people, whatever it is. But you just see this kind of, the money flow kind of deal, and people who want their names, on the side of buildings. They're not necessarily doing it, or maybe they are doing it for the Hesed aspect. But Rambam said the highest level of Hesed is the one where you don't know who gave. And the person who gave doesn't know the person they gave to, and vice versa, whatever it is. But these people, they want their name. You bet your bottom shekel, they want their name on the side of the damn building. They want the program, the medical program named after them. The ta. What is it the Mordechai Shapiro School of La La La, for medical La La La, oncology, whatever. They want that stuff. They this is stuff. And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, this is before any COVID, and I'm just kind of like, what is wrong with people? You know what I'm saying? And then COVID kicks in, and that people who got this cash flow, that cash that flowed to them, has been flowing to them for years, have to be beholden to somebody, and that somebody is beholden to, let's say, the Shmee, or the Who, Pete Townsend's the Who. The broken.
You know what that reminds me of?
Hmm.
This whole thing that people like are trying to achieve in this world. They want to be famous. They want to have lots of power. They want to, they want to have a lot of toys.
Yeah.
And it's like, to me, like, when I was a kid, I was kind of like affected by it too. Like I was like, oh yeah,
sure.
that's cool. Yeah, I want a Ferrari. But then it now looks to me, or any type of worldly ambition.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, it looks to me like a bunch of Skid Row bums.
Yeah.
Who are fighting over dirty potato chips.
Yeah.
And like half rat eaten peanut M&Ms.
Sorry, I just got that visual.
Okay, and I'm talking about people who are trying to be.
You know what I immediately thought?
Industry and presidents.
Do you know what I immediately thought of when you said that? I don't know why. I don't know what the first thought that came to my head was, like downtown Miami when I was recently there. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's not as bad as
with the chickens under the overpasses. The Haitian.
Actually,
the Haitian chickens.
Yeah, there's wild chickens and roosters. That's actually kind of cute. My only concern about the cars,
I wonder if anybody would like dare to try to shech them. Catch them and shech them, like properly shech them.
It's kind of nice. It's like you're in a downtown area. It's like very urban, and then you see something like natural, that you wouldn't expect to see there. I think it's awesome.
It's a Grand Theft Auto chicken.
Yeah.
Vice City.
Yeah.
I don't know why that.
So that's what it looks like to me. It looks like people who are trying to clamor for like what? Like seriously, like there is some kind of illusion to it where you're clamoring for a transient pleasure, right? Yeah. Which okay, fine. So you win the Oscar, right? Yeah. Now what? You're still watching your family die. Yep. You're getting older.
Yep.
Okay, you won your stupid Oscar, but now your family is one day closer to death.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Like people, like I don't. On the one hand, it's like I don't think some people can even imagine that it's possible to even dream about a situation where people don't have to die or get sick anymore. You understand? I think that's problem number one.
Yeah.
Just to be easier. I don't want to be too judgy. Most people can't even seriously consider such a possibility.
Well, I mean, if you actually talk to,
can you imagine some Russian? Can you imagine some? You're sitting to some Russian, who's in America. He's doing business. He wants to dengi, and and you tell, you talk to a person like that, right? Who's just thinking about money all the time, and you say, can you imagine a state of existence? Can you imagine the possibility that me and you, we're going to be in a situation where we won't have to die, we won't have to get sick, we won't have to watch our loved ones decay and die. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Like 99.9% of them will say,
exactly. Don't.
You can't even. No, it's not even. It's like talking to him about like some kind of magical butterfly. Like, I'm trying to make money. Can you stop? Go talk to talk to my daughter. She likes ponies.
Dude, because these people, you have to understand, they are the children of people. They're either the people themselves or the children of people who survived the blockade.
I understand
why
they are like where they are. I'm not blaming them. It's not a criticism.
Yeah.
It's if anything, it's God's fault.
Yeah.
Look at the world that He made. Why would He expect anybody to think otherwise?
Yeah, for sure.
So the people who have a very not unique, but privileged,
specific. Oh, okay.
Perspective on not everybody has the information we have.
I know.
Right?
Believe me, I know. Even I learned that the hard way. Even frum people don't even have this information, or if they do, they don't value it. They don't think it's anything of value.
Right, frum people who grow up, and again, of course, not all frum people, but to them, it's like I don't know what it's like. It's like it's just a cultural programming.
Yeah.
You know, that's just their life. You know,
Yeah.
like people, like for instance, like not non-Jewish people or secular people, right?
Yeah.
They watch football. You know, they Christmas,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, and on Sundays they go. It's just that's what we do. That's just a cultural thing. You know what I mean? It's like it's the same.
I can I tell you, I once had like it was this Russian Jewish girl. There was this whole discussion on one of these groups about Halloween. Should we celebrate Halloween? So of course some of these frum people are like, this is a pagan this and pagan that. And this one girl goes, I don't understand. Why does everything have to mean everything? Why can't we just have fun and take our kids to the trick or treat? Why does everything have to mean everything? And
right.
I'm just like, because
she has a point.
No, because it effing does. Because that Asaph had an allergy to meaning. He had an allergy to it. Because to Yaakov, everything meant everything. You know the underworld, the group Underworld, Dan Emerson, everything.
Yeah,
everything,
sure.
Everything means everything. There's no such thing as no meaning in anything, in something. There's this thing.
No, but I think we spoke about why, what the situation was with Asaph.
Yeah.
How did Asaph? Why would he even? He wasn't always like that.
I know.
He was good until he was 15.
Yeah.
It says until I can't remember. It was either 13 or 15. Okay, somewhere between 13 and 15, you couldn't tell until they were 13. Let's say, okay, you couldn't tell the difference between Yaakov and Esau.
Yeah.
First of all, they were twins.
Yeah.
Second of all, you couldn't tell the difference in their demeanors and in their behavior. They both were nice, holy boys.
Mm-hmm.
Each one had a very clear vision from the beginning as to what they were going to do in the context of the rectification. Their whole lives was all about the rectification of the tree of knowledge incident. Okay, they were born knowing that, and so were their grandfathers. Everybody that we read about in Tanakh, starting from Cain and Hevel, were born and were fully conscious of this mission. They understood that everything that they were doing was about that. Okay, so Cain, for instance, was someone who tried to do that, and when his efforts when he realized that it didn't work, he went crazy.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay. All right. So remember it says the Kates Hayamim, right? In the end of days, Cain brought an offering from the field, from the earth.
Yeah.
Okay. That's because Cain was working the earth. He was processing the earth. Okay. Just before that, it said that Adam and Chava, they were not thrown out. They were removed from the Gan Eden, and Adam was returning back to work the earth from which he came. And then Cain took over that job, essentially, right? Mm-hmm. So there's something about processing that earth. So the earth, by the way, is the shattered consciousnesses of all the proto-consciousnesses from the previous universes before Bereshit. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what the earth is. That's what Adam was made out of. Okay. Well, his body and the layers of his consciousness were made out of fragmented consciousnesses.
You know what's funny, man? Kyrie Irving, this basketball player who has been embroiled in this whole thing, the guy who plays for the Nets, and they didn't want him to he doesn't want to take the schmacks. So every so often he's posting things on his Instagram. And of course, the people who follow him are like deep in the Matrix stuff, and not Matrix stuff, but they live in the Matrix. His second to most recent post was basically it's like just a shadow body, like a shadow of a person, and on it, and it says there's text on it. It says what we think, and then that shadow is projecting just a beam of light, outline of how like Kabbalah describes what Adam was, just a kind of like light body.
Yeah. And
it says what we are. And then you see the comment, tons of likes, but then you see some of the comments are like, here, oh, what the heck? Kyrie, what this mean? What does this mean? Just play basketball, bro. We are the Human Torch?
Right. I know people trying to be smart, Alex.
No, but they're just like, they don't know.
And they're not succeeding.
Some people are like, Kyrie out here opening your eyes again. This will go over most people's heads. Bro, it's just a schmack scene. Some people say, thank you, Kyrie. What does this mean, Kyrie? What does this mean, Kyrie? Nigga, what? You're done. Get schmaxinated. Let's get schmaxinated. I love you, my guy, but what are you even saying? Like, this is just like, you understand? Like, this is... Такие дела, as we say in Russian. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
This guy's on another level. He's tapped in, Baruch Hashem. And he was always like considered a weirdo in the NBA. But yeah, okay, so walk alone, brother. Walk alone.
I'm glad that there are people in these arenas that are helping some of these people along, because it's just a monster. You know, they're too successful. It's embarrassing how successful they've been in hurting and making all these people, you know, guinea pigs. But so to link it back to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
So Esav, right? He was similar to Cain.
Yeah.
Okay. Where until he was 13 or 15, I can't remember. I have to find that out.
Mm-hmm.
He was good, and then what happened? He his job, you know, because Rabbi Kessin is always going to tell you that, you know, in their generation, Yaakov was Mashiach ben David, and Esav was Mashiach ben Yosef. Even though David and Yosef were way after, were after both of them, but the concept, that job description, like it was supposed to be Mashiach ben Yaakov and Mashiach ben Esav, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't turn out that way. So later on, anyway, so they were the twin messiahs.
Yeah.
Of their generation. That was supposed to be.
It says 15 years old. He is considered to be a rebellious son who kept a double life until he was 15. That's not true.
No.
That's not true.
That's not true.
That's some sort of Christian interpretation. No, but he was 15.
I'm not sure where that came from. But
no, but he was 15 years old. He was 15 years old.
He was 15. Okay, so basically, it might have been in that between 13 and 15 that things started to change, but I'm not sure. So, but whatever. It's a very we're talking about a small period of time, you know. So when they were young, you know, they were grown up, and they were good boys, and Yaakov knew exactly what his job was. Esav was very aware of what his job was. He understood that just like Cain was processing the earth, right? So and Esav was a man of the field, right? He was out there. Yeah. He was mixing with the elements of the earth, meaning like he was really digging into the earth to rectify it and to purify it, right? Yeah. And Jacob was like hovering over the earth, like Hevel, like Abel. Abel, he wasn't a farmer. He wasn't digging into the earth. He was kind of living on it. Yeah. You know, he was a sheep herder. He was a herder of animals, and he didn't dig into the earth. He just he was walked upon it, on top of it, and so there's a parallel there. Anyway, so Esav, he had all the talents and all the power and all the abilities to do the work, and he was in the midst of his work, and when he encountered Nimrod at that time was like, you know, he was basically like the emperor of the world. He was like the first world ruler, and he was also a hunter. They were both hunters, by the way. Yeah. Okay, both actual hunters of animals and hunters of people's minds. Yeah. They were able. They could hunt people in the sense of convince them with very convincing arguments. They were
like Israeli salesmen.
Actually, no, they were like you know, it's kind of like what people say about Hitler. Yeah. You know, actually, Norm MacDonald.
It's called neuro-linguistic programming.
Right. He's like, what is this? You know, people were telling me, oh, you know, Hitler. He was a speaker. He could hypnotize you with his speaking. Yeah. And then I I went on YouTube and I saw a recording of him, and he's like, right? And he goes, what was that? That's not my idea of a silver-tongued devil, but actually, Esav and Nimrod, they really were silver-tongued devils, in a sense. Yeah. Okay, I mean, Esav wasn't always a devil, but Nimrod was like pretty much a devil from the beginning, right? So they had this connection between each other, and they had this competitive thing. And when Nimrod, the he was already like an old king, I guess, been around for a long time, even before Avraham, you know. And you know, and obviously he had this like supernatural longevity, right? And he also wore the garments that God had fashioned for Adam when they left the garden. There were special garments that showed the status, Adam's status as king of the universe. The earth, the mortal king of the universe. Yeah. Okay, and apparently they had all pictures of animals somehow on. This was like some Hogwarts type stuff. This wasn't like a regular thing. You know what I mean? Like this is some kind of like some kind of serious clothing here. Okay, and Esav wanted to get it from Nimrod, and he also wanted to slay Nimrod. Okay, and this was mostly a good thing that he wanted to do in his mind. He wanted to do good. But I don't know if it was actually a good thing, but in his mind, he thought it was good to do. So he challenged Nimrod to a fight and killed him. He slayed him in that fight. But what he didn't realize was that there was some kind of transfer of evil, some kind of transfer of negative energy that went from Nimrod to Esav. You know what? Possibly because it was not part of the plan. Yeah. So that energy needed to stick around for a few years, okay? But it also had a different effect. Yeah. What Esav perhaps didn't understand, I really don't know. This is everything that I said until now is from Torah. Yeah. Now this is my speculation. Yeah. He perhaps didn't understand that there is a balance. Like when you have a negative energy in the world, it's balanced with a positive energy. So the positive energy was Avraham. Avraham was brought to the world to balance out the evil of Nimrod. Yeah. Now, so I'm sorry. That part actually it is from the Torah sources. I just don't know. The part that I'm speculating is that I don't know if Esav was aware of it. It's possible he was aware of it, which complicates the story. But if he wasn't aware of it, which is also a possibility, then that's why he went ahead and killed Nimrod. Because when you take Nimrod out, so you remove his energy, and therefore you remove the positive energy in the world that was needed to balance him out, which is why he came home. When he came home after that battle, and he was exhausted, and this is recorded in the Torah, and then he came into the tent exhausted, and then he saw Jacob preparing like the lentil soup, right? And he's like, just pour that red stuff in my face. Remember? He's like, down my throat. Yeah. This is like right? So he had realized at that moment when he saw Jacob preparing that stuff that he was preparing it because someone had died. He knew exactly who had died, Avraham. And he realized at that moment what he had done. Because when you take Nimrod out, you're taking Avraham with him. Avraham should have lived another 5 years. Okay? So because he acted prematurely, he took 5 years away from Avraham's life by removing the counterbalance force. They were tethered together. You understand? Like Nimrod and Avraham were tethered together. Yeah. Like Bilam and Moshe Rabbeinu. Tethered. Yeah. Yeah. Okay? So there's always a counterbalancing force. Like the biggest tzaddik of the generation, he's always countering the biggest evil, for sure, whatever that is, and vice versa. Okay, so that's what happened to Esav. When he realized what he did, he's like, "I'm effed. I'm responsible for bringing Avraham out of the world. Yeah. I don't have a future. I'm finished. Yeah. Like he's like, I don't even have an olam haba. I'm done. So he just said, F it, he's like, that's, so from that point on, that's basically what happened to him. You know what I mean? He's like, he couldn't see a future. He couldn't see a reason. He did not see life proceeding past the few moments that he had left of existence. He was compelled to live it up. Yeah, for sure. Okay. So that's what went through his mind. That's part of what went through his mind. Mm-hmm. So the only part that was my speculation is whether or not Esav was aware of this positive, negative force in the world. That if you take Nimrod out, then also Abraham goes. I don't think he knew that. I don't think he would do that. Okay, so at that time, and then he went really bad. But the bad stuff actually happened between the time that he slayed Nimrod and before he got back to the tent, because he had done like 5 major averot, major sins.
Yeah.
He did all the major sins he somehow committed. Anyway, so before he got back to the tent, okay, just in time for Abraham's funeral.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's really Esav. Okay, so Esav he cared about meaning, but he just didn't see a place for himself in it anymore.
Yeah. It's almost like the off the derech guy who knows that okay, my family is doing this and it's good for them and he respects it, but for him there's nothing there for him. There's nothing. I mean, I'm speaking from experience. I don't know if you met people like this.
Well, I mean, if you come from a community where your rabbi says that if you jerked off, that means that you're going to be in hell for all eternity because he decided to read you something. Wait. He decided to read you something from the Zohar, right?
Yeah.
And take it literally, which it was never supposed to be taken literally, and he probably knows that. But he wants to scare you. But instead, he decided he turned you into Esav.
That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kids who I met who actually grew up in the Lubavitch families with, and it's funny because they didn't leave. They left the, so to speak, the fold of religion, but they didn't leave the community. They still live with their parents. They're the only Hasidim that do that, and that kind of stuff where they just don't see the future within the fold for themselves.
No, but that's a little bit different.
Do you know what I'm saying?
They don't see a future. They don't see a future because they don't think that they see anything of value. That's not Esav. Esav knew what was going on. He thought that he had cut himself off from it.
Oh, no, so nobody told him that he's still okay, that he's still
Right. No, because,
whatever.
You can kind of see why he would panic and have a mental break, right? Yeah. If you're responsible for removing Avraham from the world, I think we have to understand who Avraham was. And, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I don't know who that's like. That's like you're the guy who, let's say for a Christian, you killed Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Right? You're a good Christian, and somehow your actions led to Santa Claus's death forever.
Yeah.
Right? How would you feel about that? You basically ruined Christmas.
You're like Will Ferrell in Elf.
Right. I mean, I don't know what else. I don't know what other metaphor to get people to understand. You know what I mean?
You're the Jew that stole Christmas.
Right. You canceled you canceled Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Good job. You know what I mean? So.
You could do that. You could do that if your name is Fauci, but I digress.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well, that was on purpose.
Of course.
Fauci is closer to Nimrod than to Esav.
Yeah, I know. He's a spark of Nimrod. Him and these other Schmab and Schmates and all these flipping people.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I don't even know if they're. I mean, I think they're pure nachash, actually, to be honest with you.
You think so?
But no. But so is Nimrod. That when you read the Shar Gilgulim. Yeah. In the beginning, it tells you how the soul, the consciousness is structured in this very fractal way. So it says that Cain and Hevel were they had Adam's neshama. They were like a projection of it. Mm-hmm. But while he was alive,
well, that's crazy.
They all shared this this oversoul, right? And so, but the thing is that Cain had a lot of the nachash mixed into him. Yeah. The nachash is considered on a certain level Cain's father.
Yeah.
Not on a physical level, but when Chava engaged the nachash in discussion, those ideas those things that he spoke to her infested her. That was the virus in which she was infested with, and Cain was he was like a child of the Nachash in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he had that. So you have, and his descendants, or people who are his like spiritual descendants, right, are have that in them too. I mean, we all have that in us to some extent, to some level. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But so you're talking about people who were like mostly that, like Nimrod, who's like one of those guys, you know. So basically, yeah, man. That's what's going.
So we started this whole thing of talking about like people allergic to meaning. I don't even know where we started off on that whole thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, people were saying like, what's the point? Why does everything have to have meaning?
Yeah, why does everything have meaning?
And so that mindset is the same mindset as the Russian guy who were like, stop talking to me about fairy tales and unicorns, about living forever, and about where I'm going to see my grandmother again, who I buried, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, you want, like I want to take on a black persona and say, yeah, motherfucker, you will, at that moment. Even
as my grandmother likes to say when you try to talk to her, "Ну вот такая жизнь, such is life."
Yeah, they just accept it, so they become like on a certain level, they become like Esav without the memories.
Yeah,
like Esav suppressed the memories of all the lofty things he wanted to accomplish in this world because he was so devastated.
Yeah,
so that he had nothing left but to kind of just become like Babe Ruth and Elvis into one. 55 hookers a night. Giant sandwiches with everything inside of them. Cigars all day long.
In the case of our relatives, it's people who just sit and watch Russian television and then yell at the screen about how this woman that they see on Russian television gained weight, and how this one looks like Ужас, and this one looks like Baba Yaga, and look what happened to her, and just like living vicariously through these obscure
whatever petty thing you can find to give your mind escape from your momentary escape
from
moment to moment.
Yeah, from your own life, which literally is just
which is the opposite, by the way.
Which is an existence.
I need to confirm this, by the way, because this is right what you said. Like Yaakov, apparently, people before Yaakov, everybody before Yaakov, they didn't get old. People lived. They didn't get sick. They were allotted a certain period of time to live.
Can we talk about this? I feel like, because I mentioned this and I wanted to talk about it, like about the whole thing.
They didn't age.
About the can we talk about how it almost seems like we're going back to that, but not in the way that...
Yeah, we're going to talk about Demi Moore. We're going to talk about it. Right?
Demi Moore dating Ashton Kutcher, and then Madonna dating some guy who's 40. I want to talk about all these celebrity women who are like 50 years old on average, dating guys who are 35, 30, and 20 something. We'll talk. We're
gonna get into that now. But just as a prelude, right? Yeah. So basically, people did not get old.
Yeah.
Their bodies did not get they didn't deteriorate. They just dropped dead.
Yeah.
Apparently, like for instance, like Sarah, right? Like she was 90. That she didn't look 90.
Yeah, she was like
not the way our 90s are.
She was like a smokestack.
Yeah, obviously she was the Shekhinah, of course.
Yeah.
She was literally the Shekhinah. Yeah. Anyway, but nobody did. No women at that time nobody got old, okay, and wrinkly. They just dropped dead after their allotted period of time.
That's why they had in the Passion of the Yoshka, even they had Monica Bellucci play Yoshka's girlfriend.
Wow.
And smokestack should be smokestack.
Yeah, I mean, I can. Yeah. So basically, So Sarah, the only reason that what she thought, because she, it seemed to indicate that she was aware of her advanced age when it came to giving birth. Right. Doesn't mean that they didn't have like menopause, the cycle stopped at a certain point. That doesn't mean that they looked old.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually one of the only ways that they knew that they were of a certain age, that they were conscious of it. So Yaakov apparently asked God to create. Yaakov's gonna get a lot of ire now from people who hear this, but he asked God to create the concept of sickness and of aging. Yaakov asked for it, so that people could be made aware that they are on their way somewhere, that they can't live life, right? Like Hugh Hefner, let's say like eternally young Hugh Hefner, and then just drop dead, and then all of a sudden be like, oh my God, what the hell's going on? I'm getting judged. Yeah. So by getting old, and by getting sick, you're being sent messages that you are on your way to a place where your actions and your deeds will be examined. Because you're being reminded that you're here to accomplish something, and that time is not forever. So when you look young and beautiful the whole time, you can kind of like just forget that, right? You don't feel the time passing because you look the same. Okay, so that's why Yaakov asked. It's awful. You know, I'm just telling you what I heard. This is what I learned. Yeah. Okay, this is obviously a midrashic concept or a tradition, but that doesn't mean it's not true. Yeah. Okay, it's just the way that it's communicated is full of encoded information. Okay, so basically, that being said, you know, so the opposite. So these. All of us, me included, and the babushkas that are watching Russian TV and making fun of other ladies, saying, "Oh, look how fat she got," or look how look at her teeth, or or how could she wear that? You know,
it's just страшилище.
Right. Those are momentary escapes from the reality that they don't want to live in. Anything. Watch the next show. You know, just go from activity to activity.
Тихо, я смотрю детектив. Тихо.
Right, running away from the reality of this world. Yeah. But Yaakov created aging and all that kind of stuff to remind people about the reality of this world and to remind them that they're going to another world. Yeah. So by ignoring that, by entertainment and whatever else you can find to distract you, you can relieve yourself from the tension of that. Yeah. So that's how we got into this topic. Yeah. But now you want to talk about me more.
Before we do that, I need to go and get the charger downstairs so I can charge the phone that we're recording on. So give me 30 seconds. In the words of Ross Perot, give me 30 seconds at a time, Larry. Larry King. 30 seconds at a time. I bought $1 billion of this airtime. Get 30 seconds. I'm going to talk to you about deficit. Okay.
You sound like Ross Perot right now.
That is Ross Perot. That's the point. That's precisely what I was trying to do.
Oh, that's what you were trying to sound like?
Yes, 30 seconds of your time, Larry. All right, I'll be back in a second. And we're back.
We are back.
All right, so Demi Moore, huh?
So Demi Moore, why are we talking about her? She's the the most famous of these broads to be going out with a young dude. Yeah. A dude much younger than her.
Yeah.
We were talking about how Hollywood has like assigned relationships and what do you call it? Arranged marriages and arranged relationships.
Some of them are arranged. Some of them I don't know if they are. But the point is,
I think they are because they're all political operatives.
Oh, for sure. But it seems like it's like a 50-year-old woman and a 35-year-old man, a 40-year-old woman and a 27-year-old man. Very interesting. What's going on there?
You know, as always, the question is, well, what she look like? That's the main thing.
No, they're all attractive women, but like, what are these dudes? What do they all have Oedipus complex? What's going on?
No, dude, come on.
Come on, man.
That's like, dude, if you're married, if you when you see a beautiful woman, right? And then you could. If she's beautiful, then she's beautiful, right? So just because she's like older than you, right? Or she could even be in some cases as old as if your mom was really young when you were born, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes, you can't tell. You could tell the lady's a little bit older than you, but she's attractive. That doesn't mean that you got an editor.
No, of course not.
Doesn't mean you got an
I
editor.
know. I was kidding. I'm just saying. Like,
I hope so.
It seems like it's across the board.
Because then I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've never,
No, it's just like it just seems like an across the board phenomenon. So it's like, what's going on with these guys?
You remember the Shiksa appeal?
Shiksa appeal, yeah, Seinfeld, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's oddly, the focus of the Shiksa appeal was what's her name? What was Elaine's real name? Whatever, Elaine from Seinfeld.
Elaine Bennis.
Julia
Louis-Dreyfus, yeah.
Yeah. So right, Elaine Bennett.
Bennis.
Right, so
whatever.
So basically, she was the focus of the Shiksa complex, where she's a Jewish lady in reality. Like she's like an actress. It's kind of odd.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so that's the anti-Oedipus complex, right? Yeah. So why can't that? That you can see an attractive woman and mix that with the Shiksa.
Yeah.
Okay. And there you go. Now you've escaped
Yes.
that horrible, horrible idea. It's horrible.
So basically, what you're telling me is I should go find like a 55-year-old Shiksa and just.
That's exactly what I'm telling you. I don't know how it can be interpreted otherwise at all. 55.
Listen, man, it's.
Oh yeah, I guess we are 40, right? I forgot.
Yeah, we forgot about that part. That conveniently forgot about that.
I forgot that little.
Yeah, as much as I look, I was just in an event. I was just in an event, and oh, you're 4. I thought you were like 30. Huh. I get that a lot, but Baruch Hashem. But not that it helps me. It doesn't really help me. But
dude, every 2 pounds you gain, you're gaining like 5 years or a decade. So you better keep it. You better stay skinny.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah. But so in terms of this whole idea of what are they trying to communicate? What is the message of these older women dating these younger dudes?
I mean, I feel like they're trying to communicate in general that we're gonna live that the aging process is being that these celebrities are like slowing down the aging process, at least for themselves. I don't know about for us. And they think that they're gonna be immortal.
Well, the Sitra Achra gets it first.
Yeah. They think they're going to be immortal. This is part of the whole thing of what your brother talks about, that these people are going to eliminate us and just going to be like these immortal beings with who rule over these like peons, namely us, who are all chipped, have chips inside of them and tracked. Instead of an easy pass, I have a chip that it's in my hand, arm, whatever, wrist, and I can go through the toll booth or whatever it is. And these people are just going to be like the, like the 80s song, Forever Young, I Wanna Be Forever, that's going to be their soundtrack. Do you really want to live forever? Or Queen, Who Wants to Live Forever?
You know what I picture happening? I picture that they're going to ultimately get what they want. But what they want is those nasty half-eaten peanut M&Ms.
Yeah.
When what was really supposed to occur in terms of the evolution of the human race and when we ascend, right? So they're going to stay exactly where they are forever.
In what sense? What do you mean exactly where they are?
All right, picture this.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, all of a sudden everybody turns into these stunningly beautiful, divine, light beings, right?
Mm-hmm.
The most, people, right?
Yeah.
But the adrenochrome, crowd, right? They stay looking, they stay in their current form. Huh?
Yeah.
That's what they wanted, right?
Yeah.
They couldn't picture.
Yeah.
They couldn't expect that God would come through on His word.
Yeah.
Right? So So, while everybody becomes, gorgeous, basically infinite light beings, they stay on their level, and they watch, the so-called stars watch us become stars.
Interesting.
Real stars.
Yeah, but that's what
actual stars.
No, but that's what the Gemara says. So in the Olam Haba, it's all the people on top going to be on the bottom, vice versa.
You know what I mean?
All Will Smith needs to do is open up which Masechet is it? I forget. Sota? Brochas?
I don't know.
One of those. All I need to do is just open a Gemara.
By the way, what is you keep using this Yiddish word? I'm very unfamiliar with Yiddish.
What?
You keep saying Zach. Do you know
Zach
what does that
means thing or situation or thing. Or yes,
because in Hebrew it means like extra virgin or pure, right? Like extra clean, like shemen zayit zach.
Really? They've said zach.
Yeah, zach. It's like I think it's from the same root as zikach, right? Like Rabbi Kesson keeps using this word of of cleansing or purifying, like really extra refined zikach. So zach is from the same root in Hebrew. So that's why I wasn't sure how you're using that. But
no, I'm using it as in like thing or situation or object or noun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the zach. I'm gonna get that zach. I'm gonna what a zach that was.
So it's kind of like our forget about it.
Sort of, but doesn't mean the same thing.
A term that you could use in like
yeah. It's like Bernie
context.
Mac's MFer.
Yeah, the MFer, right. This MFer, that
MFer. The person, place, or thing.
Dude, your impressions are actually pretty they look, they're pretty good, man.
Yeah,
they're pretty good. Like I'm jealous of dudes who can do stuff with their voices, sing and they can scream in a funny way.
It's not a voice thing. It's not a voice thing. It's a hearing thing. Baruch Hashem, I have pitch, musical pitch. So what happens is you line up your musical pitch with your voice, like your voice box, basically.
It has something to do with the size of the voice box and the.
No, it's true.
It really does. There are physical properties that make it more possible for some people.
That's true. Yeah. Listen, I don't know how I.
I'm not asking how. I'm just saying I'm jealous of people who can do that.
Yeah, no, it's whatever.
This is Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman.
I was trying to look up voice impression lessons on YouTube, and the guy I was watching this video, this English kid, he can do an incredible Morgan Freeman. So he was showing how he did it. So I tried to practice for an hour. I'm Morgan Freeman.
I'm Morgan Freeman. This is God. I always play God when I'm playing in every movie. Mr. Anderson. Neo. What would you say if I told you that this podcast is not even a podcast? It's just two idiots talking.
Two knuckleheads.
There is no phone. There is no recording device. There's just God.
You know what we should do right now? We should tell people we should make a declaration. What is a manifesto? I like using these words, even though I don't really fully understand.
Manifesto, it's just anybody who's...
I know.
Who uses that
it's
word
funnier to say that I like to use words that I don't know what they mean.
Is a commie.
Thank you for ruining my shtick. Thank you. Anyway.
You're welcome.
I want people to think that I use words that I don't know precisely how to use them.
You know what I can't stand? Parents who tell their little children, I don't understand what you're saying. Use your words. I want to smack people. Can I tell you something? You know what kind of people I want to smack? The parents who use these new parenting terms.
Dude, to me it's like Klingon.
Use your words.
Like a Star Trek convention.
What do you? It's like, just raise your child. Stop being such a new age little. Ugh.
Yeah. The new age language is hilarious.
Even the people who are on our side, they also tend to use that crap.
No, because it starts to get like
Oh.
It leaks into your psyche.
Yeah,
You know?
it's like robotic parenting. It's like this robotic, mechanical.
Guys. Dude, I'm going to cut you off. There's something I wanted to make a public service announcement.
Okay.
All right. There is a pattern of speech that men have to stop doing. You have to stop talking in the same up and down pattern as ladies do. For example, you're going to hear a lot of ladies speaking in the following way. Mm-hmm. So I went down to like the store, right, and they had the sale on shoes, right, and it was like, oh my God, I was waiting for these shoes to be on sale, and it was so amazing. You know, they keep going up and down, right? This whole pattern. Yeah. Now guys are doing this.
I know.
Guys, it's like guys are doing that and sounding like Valley girls somehow at the same time. You know
well, first of all, gay men do that, so that's understandable.
I'm not talking about gay men. I'm talking about like cowboys. I'm talking about like dudes who shouldn't be talking like that.
It's just there's a feminization of men happening.
I don't think a lot of them are realizing this.
They're not realizing this.
Okay, so if anybody, you know, hey Alex, you know any one of these guys, you know, you gotta say something. Okay, I remember I was doing Uber and I was driving and I picked up this dude from Georgia and he actually had an accent. I'm like, oh man, it's like, yo, what? I like your accent. You're from Georgia, right?
What's your business? What's your business
I was
here?
like, how old are you? Yeah. I was like, how old are you? He's like, I'm 30. I'm 37, and I was 36 at the time, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, man. You know, like it's like guys our age. I think we might be the last dudes that actually have accents from where we're from.
Yeah.
Everybody in the world sounds like a Valley girl now. It doesn't matter. You could be from Timbuktu and sound like a Valley girl.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's this horrible worldwide, awful thing that's happening.
It's called the not sterilization. I mean, it's called the
homogenization.
Homogenization when you're making something just vanillaization of just Western society. I mean, when you're internationalizing everything has to be the same. You know, I remember I used to hear these leftists who I used to hang out with in the underground, music scene, talking about they that classical like stupid idea. If we all just, boink each other, we're all going to be the same race at some point. If we all just boink each other, we're all just going to dilute each other's thing and just become the same race at some point. Just like we're all going to have the same.
and then we're going to invade South Park with our time machines.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, the United Atheist League and the United Atheist Alliance. The little otters. Oh, it's just... And every time I heard like 30... At the time I was like 20, 22, 23. I heard like 40-year-old men say these ideas. These men were like on cocaine and like ecstasy every day. And I'm like, how much cocaine and ecstasy you have to take to come up with such a brilliant effing idea? Of everybody has to boink each other and we'll all be the same race. One race. No more racism. It's like the George Soros thing. No more anti-Semitism if we kill the Jews.
Yeah, no more. Eliminate. No more. What's it called? Misanthropy, right?
Yeah.
If you just get rid of people, so no more.
Part of my Russian language, это долбоёбы.
Okay, I fully agree. By the way, what you just said reminded me of something funny that Gavin McInnes occasionally says. Meaning he occasionally says something funny.
Oh,
and this is one of those things. And I think he's onto something. So here's the following is like this. He says, the whole, like that whole stereotypical gay sound, when a gay person speaks, they sound a certain way. Like you have like, and it's very much what we just talked about, like that up and down type, right?
Yeah.
So he says that is not necessarily a gay thing or a female thing. There is something about it which is even on a more fundamental level than that. It is the sound of indulgence.
Yeah, for sure.
If a person lives and indulges themselves on a certain level, then they end up that seems to be a result of an overindulgent person.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
You could tell
because you have like I remember even like people, like I knew kids from like Jersey. I'm sure you know a lot of these kids, right? White kids from Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's black kids too, but like white kids from Jersey sound like that. They sounded like Japs.
Yeah, they did.
Like Valley Girl Japs.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like,
yeah.
That kind of stuff. That is the sound of overindulgence.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. It's amazing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, of course, not every gay dude is going to sound like that. Of course, not every girl, but every overindulgent person, I think, would sound like that.
Yep.
So there it is. That's.
If you want to see all of this on display, just go. I don't recommend doing this, but if you will, go just spend 5 minutes on TikTok.
I'm not doing.
Or Instagram.
Dude, you sent me today something that you literally. I can't even believe you did that. I'm actually angry at you.
What did I
You sent me something. The spoken word. Are you out of? Are you serious, dude?
No, but the only reason I sent you that was because she was talking about the girl was talking about the '80s hip hop. Like she, what she was talking about? This Jewish girl.
Talking about 80s
no,
hip-hop.
she was talking
about a white girl liking a black guy.
No,
that's what her whole thing was.
But you have to listen to the whole thing. No, because she was talking about like this girl. She's Jewish. She grew up in the Bronx, Jewish, among Puerto Ricans and black people, and she was like the down.
So did I.
No, but I'm saying she was like the down Jewish girl. She's talking about this whole this whole progression of, first she liked this guy, then she had to learn this dance. Then it was like, the Belle Biv DeVoe and Kid and Play situation. And then she gets into this whole thing. I wanted you to listen to the whole thing because you would appreciate if you listened straight through, not just the part about her liking this Puerto Rican guy.
That seemed to be the first thing she
I know, but it was a 27-minute video, and you went through like 2 minutes, and then you just I can't.
I couldn't make it through that minefield.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. No, but the point is, she was getting into all this very, very, late 80s, early 90s New York specific references, which I watched through, and I was like appreciating these things.
I don't need to listen to that woke horse shit so I can.
It wasn't woke. It wasn't woke at all. She was
making it sound. She was making it sound like it was revolutionary, until she revolutionized the idea of a white girl like a black guy.
Poetry.
Not saying bala. I'm so sick of these fuckers. By the way, could we just touch upon like the alien thing for a second?
Okay.
There was the most famous alien abduction that seems to have like a lot of legitimacy to it, right? It was documented and studied heavily, right? Was Betty and Barney Hill.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
I know. This is in the 60s.
I know about that. Yeah.
This is early 60s.
Yeah.
And they were some kind of like they were some kind of like civil rights activists or something like that.
Yeah.
He was black and she was white, and they were a couple.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. People. Yeah. Whatever, man. Things have been going on for like a while. Yeah. Remember we were watching. I didn't watch that with you, but I was watching Young Frankenstein, right?
Uh-huh.
I was pointing this out to my wife.
Yeah.
That was in the early to mid 70s.
Yeah.
That movie came out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a scene there in a medical school like auditorium where there's the professor is giving his lesson, right? And his discourse, whatever they call it, I forgot.
Yeah.
And you see all the medical students sitting there, and you see a lot of black medical students too, right? So if you watch old TV, right, you're gonna see stuff that that we were taught that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like apparently the first black guy on TV was in 2007.
Yeah.
According to the woke, you understand? Like the fake, like the history. I'm not saying it was like perfect.
Yeah.
But it's like, whoa! I thought 70s that black people couldn't even go outside.
Yeah,
that's what we were taught, right?
Yeah, that's what the way it's portrayed.
Right?
Yeah.
They only earned the right to vote in 2045.
No, everything we thought we knew about like the relationship between a black person and a white person. It was like the movie Look Who's Coming to Dinner, where she invites her black boyfriend to the. It's funny, they made a remake where the black girl invites Ashton Kutcher as the white boyfriend. The recent remake, and Bernie Mac is the father.
Bernie Mac is the father, right?
Is the father, yeah, and he's the white boyfriend. So they reversed that. But the original one was the black, Sidney Poitier, the black boyfriend, invited
Yeah,
to
this
whatever.
kind of stuff, like, this kind of stuff was going on in like the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, on TV,
Yeah.
like in movies and TV and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That wasn't like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
So there's so much lies about that. I'm just sick of that. But let's get back to something more like, I'm trying to grab on to like.
No, so we were talking about this whole thing of the
about.
aging and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
do you think we're going back to like we'll be able to live? But the problem is like, or the question is, what would be even the point of living that long? Unless we're just not gonna have death anymore, so now we're talking about a whole different realm, different existence.
Well, dude, let's go to the principles of faith. Principle of faith number 13: the dead will be resurrected.
Yeah.
Death will be abolished. Will be removed from existence.
Yeah.
Okay. It was never. That's not. The intent is not to die, but to live.
Yeah.
Right. Life never stops living. That's actually something that Manus Friedman says. Mm-hmm. That's not what he says, but he phrases it like that.
He enunciates it out loud.
Yeah, because people say, is there life after death? The answer is, there's no. That doesn't make any logical sense.
Yeah.
Life lives, and what's dead stays dead.
Yeah.
Right? We continue to live. Our body is not the life.
Yeah.
It's not our life.
Yeah.
Okay? It's our car.
Yeah.
Okay? So basically, it's our Tic Tac.
Yeah.
I wish it was a Tic Tac. That would be awesome, right? So anyway, the point is to live. So yes, we're gonna be living forever. But you asked a very, very good question. Like, what is the purpose of that? So the purpose of that is a person can only truly fulfill the Torah and the mitzvot if they are eternal. Because when a person has death looming over their like the sword of Damocles, right?
Yeah.
There's always going to be a barrier between fully fulfilling the Torah.
Yeah.
Okay? You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your resources. There's definitely, that whole death thing and watching, loved ones get hurt, sick, and die certainly puts a damper on that.
Yep.
Right? There's not going to be any barriers, no more obstacles between being able to really fulfill the Torah. Okay? Like right now, everybody knows 630 commandments. You know how many commandments that we can actually carry out right now?
200 something.
87. What are you talking about?
Really?
87.
No, because we don't have the Beit HaMikdash, but like there's a lot that
we don't have the Beit HaMikdash, so we don't have the monarchy restored. We don't have the.
No, but if you wait a minute. What about all the mitzvot you can do in Eretz Israel, like with
most people? Fine, but most people can only. Let's say for most of, let's say, the history of exile. And
you're talking about diaspora Jewry, but I'm talking about
right.
Talking about if you're in Israel, you can do way more.
Okay,
way
but
more.
even the people who live in Israel, right?
Yeah.
And some of the people they fulfill the mitzvot, but first of all, most people don't even have the consciousness of it.
I know.
Second of all, most people don't actually fulfill every mitzvah that can be fulfilled in Eretz Yisrael.
I know.
So my point is that when you're not in Eretz Yisrael, when you don't have the Beit HaMikdash, when you don't have a king, when you don't have the infrastructure set up the way it's supposed to be set up, there's more than half of the mitzvahs you can't do. Yeah. Way more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So you can't even fulfill God's will. God's will is the 613 mitzvahs. So what are you talking about living in this 86 mitzvah reality?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you call yourself a servant of God, and you're content living in your with your 86 mitzvahs, or a couple of more if you live in Israel.
So that's Galus, man. That's right. Also part of Galus.
So you can't even fulfill God's will in this state of exile and in the state where death and sickness exists. The only way to actually to to do the things that God wants us to do as they're laid out in the Torah is to be in a situation where there's no disease and death.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah.
It is required to be the state in order to do that. So remember, the whole point of existence is to have a relationship with God and to do stuff that he wants you to do because he does that stuff. And when I say he, you know what I'm saying. In the context of our relationship between God and the creation, well, God is the male in the context of this relationship, and we are the female. But God is not, in reality, unto himself, not a male. Anyway, so that's the point. That's the primary reason why we are supposed to not die and not get sick.
Yeah.
The only reason to not die and to not get sick is to be able to do God's will. Because, you find all these stories and all this, you have these idiots who are saying, oh, the only reason that gives life any meaning is that it's short, that it's finite. So you really got to live it up.
You only live once. Life is short, enjoy it.
YOLO. You only live once, so you got to really live it up, and before you get a chance. So you have that mentality, right? And then you have the mentality of people saying, "Oh, I'm gonna live forever. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna get bored." You know what I mean? So there are some people who can actually get past that, and they're still not necessarily. Well, they certainly wouldn't consider themselves religious. Yeah. For instance, Ray Kurzweil, although he's one of these transhumanist guys. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what he's like presently, but I used to listen to his lectures. Yeah. Okay. Probably 10 years ago, stuff like that. I would listen to everything he said. Okay. And he was saying a lot of stuff which sounded very, very parallel with the Torah.
Yeah, of course.
With the vision of Mashiach in the future.
For sure.
I don't know if he got weird when he started working for Google. I would assume that he did. Yeah. That he got weirder. Okay. But
again, all he probably did was take that stuff and just transfer it to the era of society.
But I haven't listened to it in a while. But he would always say, he goes, we should live forever, and it's a tragedy to die, because the longer you live, the wiser you get, the more you know, the more experience, the more you can love, the more beauty you can experience and grow and learn new things and keep your imagination open for things that you couldn't even imagine. You know what I mean? He was the only secular guy that had any positive outlook about the idea of living forever. Okay? So it's a struggle for most people because I'm going to get bored, we just do the same thing over and over again. At some point, what are you going to do? So this is so stupid. It shows such a limited mind, such a closed off, limited intellect.
What does Jordan Peterson say? Low resolution.
Low resolution.
Thinking.
Low everything.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And again, it might not be the person's fault. It might be their experience. I can't imagine unicorns and living forever. I can't imagine flying, giant butterflies. That you can ride on a butterfly.
Yeah.
Butterfly. What is that? What was that song? Reading Rainbow Butterflies in the sky.
Yeah.
I can fly twice as high.
Reading rainbow. Yeah, and then you have that guy. What's his name? Not
LeVar, man.
LeVar Burton. Yeah, aka
Jordy.
the guy from Star Trek. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kunta Kinte. Kunta from upstairs.
I think. Based on I think if LeVar Burton would hear some of these, he probably wouldn't want to meet me.
Dude, you don't understand.
I would meet him. He seems like a cool guy.
Listen to this. I was watching Reading Rainbow. I'm a kid, and all of a sudden, in sixth grade, I'm 12 years old, 11 years old. Our teacher in sixth grade makes us watch Roots. And,
they made me watch Roots.
And you see LeVar Burton as Kunta in chains, and you're just like, that's the guy. Half the class was like, that's the guy from Reading Rainbow. Why?
That's Geordi from Star Trek.
Dude, I know. And we had our, you want to talk about broken vessels, man. That was
Shattered
that was a
vessels, yeah.
trauma. And then you got like Chicken George and what's the other guy? And you know, and Kunta became like a big, what's his name? Amos, John Amos. He became like a
Yeah.
giant kachok, like a linebacker. And then his son is like Chicken George, Ben Vereen.
Yeah.
It's just like the whole thing was crazy. And you had like Diana Ross playing his wife. All of a sudden, Diana Ross became like a slave. Like a light-skinned smokestack slave.
Dude, how about OJ? OJ was in that movie.
Was he?
Yeah.
Did he play like one of the slaves that catches them or something like that? Or because he run fast?
I don't know. No, he was there like early on. Everybody, when I was in 9th grade, they showed it to the class in Sheepshead Bay High School. And then like, it's mostly black.
Mm-hmm.
Sheepshead Bay High School is mostly black kids.
Did they want to beat you up after this?
No, what are you talking
I'm
about?
kidding. I wonder if they found OJ to
Dude, I was
a white woman
I was a big kind of angry looking kind of, I played football, like I wasn't like, I didn't have that, like, I lucked out a little bit in that respect physically.
Nice.
So basically it was like when OJ came on, all the black kids started laughing so hard.
Yeah, this is hilarious.
And then you saw the white lady teacher get really nervous.
Yeah.
Was that like?
Because
it's like, do I have to do something? And, it's like,
I wonder. Yeah, because it's like
down.
he's gonna go, he's gonna go try to solve the murder of a white woman in the movie. I'm still looking for the killer. You know what I'm saying? He's still at large somewhere.
Right.
There's a god somewhere. There's a killer somewhere.
Yeah. Norm MacDonald said, like, there was some statement.
There's a whole 30-minute segment of Norm MacDonald talking about OJ. It's hilarious.
Yeah, no, he was like, that's why, one of the reasons that I love Norm MacDonald is because he, in a certain way, wouldn't, see, like the Sitra Achra, they tried to corrode the minds of society. Yeah. Right? Of acceptance of murder, right?
And he wouldn't let them.
Accepting clear
injustice. Clear MS and clear injustice, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they tried to make it about a racial thing. But what really happened was it showed that murder was justified. Not justified, but it was not treated in the way that it's supposed to be treated. And that affected the psyche of the whole world, probably. Because the United States was supposed to represent the rule of law.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
So basically,
1994 again.
Right. So Norm MacDonald was literally the only one who was pushing back. Like, well, hold on, wait, murder is now legal in the state. Like, nobody else was saying anything about it. No one was standing up to it, even in thought.
Yep. Thought crimes.
Except him.
Yep.
Except him.
Yep.
He's a hero. He kept in that way. Like he did it so boldly. And with a smirk.
I just love when, I think it was like Dave Chappelle, one of these black comedians would Jamie Foxx mentioned it, and Jamie Foxx would actually also go like, and half the crowd, it's like an all black audience. I think one of his shows, I Might Need Security, which one, I forget which one, and he goes, and half the crowd would be like, oh, come on, and they're like booing and eyeing, and he's just like, well, come on now, like, seriously, come on, like, let's get real, you know what I'm saying? Like, they had to admit, for them it was like a thing of just like, they were happy because of all the injustices done to black men in courts in the, over the years. So they figured that was the tikkun. They knew he's guilty. That was a tikkun for all those instances. That's why they were happy. They knew that. It's just like Dave Chappelle said about Juicy Smouye. He's like, we were supporting him with our silence. That what gay people didn't know, we were supporting Juicy Smouye with our silence.
Juicy Smouye, that's very French.
The actor from France. So it's the same thing. They support him with the silence. They support. To them, it's not about justice. It's about revenge.
Yeah.
Tikkun. And they think that they are in charge of the tikkun, not Hashem. They are in charge of the tikkun, and the legal system is in charge of the tikkun.
The question is,
just like reparations.
What do they win?
What did they win?
They win, like
Did
you said,
get,
they win. They win,
get
and
the
they
prize
win.
in the mail.
They win. They win what these schmucks who are trying to win the peanut M&Ms are. I think they're gonna win. It's the same idea.
Yeah. Instead of having
potato chips, right?
Instead of having a better justice system that represents more justice,
that would help them in the future.
Now it's even worse.
Yeah, you're just you make you're like it doesn't. Two negatives don't make a positive.
Right, they made themselves more vulnerable.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Because if injustice is now accepted by society, you're fucked even more.
It's just you're not sodomizing, but Sedom-izing. The society. You're turning it into Sodom, and now we have a situation where cops think they can get away with stuff, and they don't, but they do stuff, and it ends up being a shanda, like a very like today that cop the one that killed Dante Wright, she got they said she was guilty, and she wasn't. I mean, if anything, it was whatever. She pulled out a taser, she thought it was a gun, whatever, or a gun, thought it was a taser. She's gonna appeal because, like, apparently there was some issue with the what's it called, with the jury instructions. That's not even the point. The point is they found her guilty.
Can I tell you what the root cause of most of these terrible police injustices are? You know, like with all these conflicts with the police.
I call it Shaniqua disease.
No. Because the laws of this country, right, like on the state and local level, became so anti-constitutional, right? So oppressive, so Stalinistic. Yeah. New York, like even the idea of registering your car, of license plate, all this crap, right?
Yeah.
You are creating a situation by creating all these unconstitutional restrictions on people, right?
Yeah.
You're sucking the life out of them. I remember that I got pulled over on my way to a job interview. I had negative $40 in my bank account.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything to give my wife to eat.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get a job, and the guy, that son of a bitch, pulled me over and kept me pulled over for 45 minutes because my license plate had expired.
It's like literally
by
kicking.
like a week.
It's like kicking somebody when they're drowning. Step on my head while I'm drowning.
And not on top of that, he gave me a ticket when I had minus $40. So that whole situation, I can see how somebody could snap.
Yeah.
And then create a conflict where someone dies.
Dude, can I tell you something? I used to go. I don't remember which comedian this was in Comedy Cellar, and he was talking about. He's like, any of you people have an account at Chase Bank? You know what I love about Chase Bank? If you have $18 in the bank, you know what they do? They charge you a fee, and then you go into minus, and then he's like, oh, and then they send you a letter. Oh, sir, you went into minus, so we're charging you a fee, an overdraft fee, so you go into a bigger minus. But he's like, if you have money, we'll just give you more money.
That's Louis C.K.
Yeah, I think it was Louis.
Yeah. So,
but it's like it's infuriating. Like, what are you doing?
Right. So my point is that
the fractional banking system,
interaction, that interaction with the cop, right, should not exist.
Yeah.
Because you want to minimize strangers interacting with each other.
Yeah.
You understand? The founding fathers could never imagine people being so restricted in their ability to live, right? Yeah. They have to pay always a fee. There's a little bureaucratic little piece of paper,
just to breathe,
approval, a permission, a permit, all this. They did not envision this shit. Yeah. This is Stalinistic. Okay,
dude. There's a guy.
That's why. And because cops agree to enforce it, so they bring this upon themselves.
Dude, there's a guy. This guy, you know the guy, Zoo, whatever. He's like a rapper. He's on Twitter. He's against the schmaxines. But every other day or every day, every so often, he'll just write. He'll just post on Twitter. All we want is for the government to leave us alone. We don't care about like. We'll take care of it. He's just leave us, like, please, just leave us alone. Leave us alone. Don't claim you want to help. Don't even say you're helping, even if you are helping. Even if you are, do me. Here, this is what he wrote. I'll tell you verbatim what this guy wrote. Here. Hold on.
Bro, I mean, I know. I've heard this. It's clear they're not going to leave us alone. They're not trying to help. They're not trying to help us.
Yeah. Here. Okay. All I ask of politicians is for them to leave us alone, and they can't even do that. That's what this guy writes.
Dude, of course not. They're evil, slavery, animal beasts. Do you understand? Like, only the worst people get into those positions. Only the worst. Only the most psychopathic.
Yeah.
And the more tyrannical, the more bureaucratic a country is, like the more bureaucracy there is, the more offices, the more it's like, you know how like when ISIS was formed, right?
Yeah.
That was like every pedophile / murderer, rapist was like, oh yes. Now I get to go live out all my fantasies, you know, and I get to, you know, and I can hide behind religion, and I can get to rape little girls to death. I can't wait to do that.
Yeah.
It was like a hive of scum and villainy, right?
Jesus.
So in when it comes to the quote unquote halls of power, right, of all these countries, China, of the United States, even unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
It is a hive of scum and villainy, of fakers, bullshit artists. Like just the worst of the worst of the worst. That's where it ends up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like you know, it's the dustpan of the world.
Yeah.
Okay. The dirt can, you know, where the rubbish collects.
Yeah.
Okay. So just like Hollywood is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is where these, you know, you could see it.
Yeah.
Now, because we were sleeping and we allowed ourselves to be hypnotized by their stupid entertainment, by their bread and circuses, right?
Yep.
Give them their bread and circuses, right?
Yep.
So that's why you know, that's why we're in this situation right now.
Yep.
Okay. So
it goes back to what
it
goes back to what your brother said. You know, there's like it sucks to hear it, but it's like a clean. Hashem's like, I got a clean house.
No, so I disagree with my brother.
Okay.
Entirely.
Okay.
Now, I'm pretty sure that this is my thoughts, this is my feeling, okay, because I know my brother, okay? Like, sometimes I'm conscious of things about him that he's not conscious of himself. I think that he says certain things that are very, like, I was going to say not intriguing, but controversial, right?
Yeah.
Because he wants people to... He doesn't want people to die. He doesn't want that.
He wants people to be awake.
Right. He's like, he doesn't want you to be... He thinks if he's going to say that, maybe you'll wake up and be part... maybe a lot of people, or most people will become those who
It's
don't
a very Russian thing to do. It's negative reinforcement, Russian thing. My father used to do it. You know, call somebody a dumbass and maybe they will change their ways. I see it in your brother. It's a very, very Russian tactic. Ну, конечно, ты хочешь умереть. Ну, ты умрешь. Ну, умирай. Иди в гроб.
It's reverse psychology.
Иди. Да, yeah, it's reverse psychology, but it's reverse psychology in the most Russian, Jewish, immigrant. Ну, окей, иди. Я тебя не останавливаю. Иди, дебил. Бездельник. You know?
Yeah.
That's what your brother's doing. He doesn't understand that he's talking to Americans who don't respond to that stuff. They don't respond.
Everybody responds.
No, some people respond, but some other people were raised by parents who gave them participation trophies. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand that a doctor, calling them an idiot is trying to help them. They don't understand that.
I think a lot of people do. I mean,
a lot of people do, but half the people don't. Unfortunately,
most of the people, dude. Just to let you know, most of the people I talk to on a daily basis are middle American.
Yeah.
People.
So some of those people are raised. Some of those people are raised kind of traditional, and they get it.
You would be surprised how much of that, like, kind of Russian negativity you find in Texas.
I know. A lot of those people, like, you know, they smack their kids around a little bit here. Not like, you know, pummel them, but whatever, when it's necessary.
You know who does? You know who really does that? Like, there's a great routine which can actually demonstrate that.
No.
Okay. He was talking about like Bill Burr. He was talking about when he's gonna go buy a gun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, he went to the gun store, right? When he was in the South.
Yeah.
He goes, and the guy who was selling him the gun, he's like, had this typical Southern kind of like way of speaking, and he's like, well, what kind of gun, man? What kind of gun you want to get? What you think about? He goes, well, how about this one? This Smith & Wesson 357. It's 44. He goes, oh man, let me tell you something. It ain't like in the movies. You go blah blah blah, right? And you're out of bullets, man. You miss most of the time, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, what do you think I should get? He goes, I think you should get this Mossberg over under. It's a shotgun, right?
Yeah.
He goes, you should go blah, right? He goes, problem's gone, man. Everything's gone, right? You ain't gonna miss because it spreads. You got to spread, right? It spreads.
Yeah.
And he goes, and then he goes, nah, I don't know, man. I don't want to do all this. I don't want to do a lot of drywall work in my house. Replace my parakeet. I just want to go on so I can shoot. And then the guy goes, oh, whatever you want to do, you think you know what you? Go ahead, I'll sell you.
Yeah.
He's like, he's doing this reverse. Like,
yeah.
The people of the South got that too, by the way.
I know. All right, there, boy. Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right.
You know everything.
And then this other comedian, he did the Mexican version of that. Freddie Soto, who passed away. He's the one who does the impression of his father.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, his father getting like all crazy and stuff like that, right? In a Mexican way.
Yeah.
So he talks about when he comes late. He went out drinking with his friends when he was supposed to help his father do some kind of like construction work on the house, some kind of like, get up on the roof and put some shingles up or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, and he gets to bed, he's all drunk, and his father wakes him up, right? And he's like, he's all like hung over, and then he goes, oh, give me the thing, and he goes, what thing? He goes, the Costa over there. He goes, what Costa? The thing. He goes, the thing over there. Open your eyes, the thing. And he goes, what thing? He goes, I'm going to go over there. And if I find it, I'm going to kick your ass. Right? And then he goes, what are you talking? He goes, oh, you don't understand? Oh, yeah. He goes, yo, you don't want to be here? Oh, but when it comes to Charlie, I go drinking with Charlie. Oh, I love my friend Charlie. I drink all night with but I don't want to do anything with my father. No, but Charlie.
You know what my father used to say to me? He used to like come up, like say something to me, or like be upset at me at something, and then I would say, what did I do? And then he goes, nothing. That's the point. You didn't do anything.
You know the joke? He goes, some guy. He goes and he slaps the shit out of his, like, I don't know, his daughter, his son, or his wife, or something else. Like that, right?
It's for something you're gonna do. Yeah.
Whoever gets slapped goes, oh my God, за что?
Yeah.
He goes, если было за что, бы был убил.
No, that's something. So that's funny, but that's something else. What he means by nothing, that's the point. Meaning, I didn't do anything productive.
Right. No, I understand what you meant.
Yeah. Ты ничего не сделал, like хорошего. You didn't do anything good.
You didn't do anything good either, right?
Yeah.
That's actually a Jewish. That's a Torah concept.
It is. Yeah.
Not doing something good is a sin. So he's right, actually.
Yeah.
But the joke in Russian, just to kind of translate it, was like, some guy, he comes up to his, I don't know, let's say he comes up to his son and slaps him, and he goes, and the son's like, oh my God, what was that for? He goes, if there was a reason, I would have killed you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Had there been some reason to do with this, right?
So basically, that's what your brother's doing.
So Norm MacDonald. Yeah. Wait. So this is where we went off on this crazy tangent. But Norm MacDonald was talking about like OJ.
Yeah.
Right, and he said, I probably said this before, but I love it. He's like OJ said that he would have given his life to protect Nicole Brown. Right.
Yeah.
He would have given his life. He goes, that has to be the worst luck ever. When the one man who would give his life to save you kills you.
I love how he just sat there on SNL. First of all, I'm amazed that what's his name, Lorne Michaels gave him such creative license, and
amazed, dude. He was the king. People tuned in just to watch him. Only they don't care about anything else on SNL.
No, I'm just saying, like, he was allowed to say these things, and he went on for like 20 minutes just doing all OJ jokes, and just where he brought the MS of like OJ
and
basically.
Hillary Clinton jokes.
And Hillary jokes, yeah.
Right. And
dude,
he would just annihilate her, man.
Dude,
he was like.
I have the ultimate. Like, whenever somebody says something about Omicron, Shmomiron, all I say is, Hillary Clinton has a higher body count than Shmomiron. And she always will.
The website.
What website? Yeah, exactly. Hillary Clinton. Yeah.
The Clinton body count.
What is it, like 40, 45, 50, something like that?
I looked at it like 7 years ago, and it was about 45.
Okay, so mark my words. Whatever. I hope they won't be more than 45 from Shmomiron around this planet. It's a cold. It's a common cold. Like,
it's like I hear a lot of doctors saying it's like a natural vaccine.
Yeah, no, there was a doctor saying it made me better because it's just Hashem is just giving you this. I mean, granted, it was created by people, obviously, but like you're getting this thing that you're like you told me, like your system is fighting it as opposed to some artificial mechanical thing that tells your system to move over. Is fighting it and then obliterates your own system in the process. Yeah. It's just madness. And then closing down an entire country again. Yeah. You're closing down a country, and like it can't, like, what you look in the man's eyes, like Israel, right? Bennett. I'm looking in his eyes. I don't see anything. Like I see a fat man with a kippah. I don't see anything in his eyes. And now he's going for the fourth. Like, yo.
Twisted and evil.
I mean, could it be what you said about Hashem has to just like, that's when Hashem steps in, when you see the whole thing with this kind of stuff. Or like, I mean, granted, Israeli people have not signed up, at least most people have not signed up with this whole kid stuff, because they know better. But, I don't know, man. Hashem's got to step in,
So you kind of touched upon something. You kind of reminded me what, we went down a certain avenue. Remember we were talking about consciousness and then Trump?
Yeah.
So, and how the phenomenon of consciousness might be related to Trump, because I can't think of more conventional reasons why he's behaving the way that he is, right?
Yeah.
Because Trump talks about God a lot. And recently he said something that I thought was incredible. Yeah. That he said that, we have an anointed. He didn't say Jesus, by the way. I'd like to point that out.
Yeah. No.
At least in the headlines, I didn't see it. You know what I mean?
No.
He says God. He keeps it general.
Because he's not trying to be a fake Christian, which he isn't.
Right. So basically, he's saying that there is a savior, an anointed one, right? And and he goes, and it's not me, it's God. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he's saying that God will come and save us, this and that. So I don't know. I think that if somehow he's trying to extend his consciousness,
maybe, yeah,
right, to because let's say he thought he had a decision to make. He says, what are people going to choose to do? Are they going to choose to get the vaccine or not? It looks like they're going to choose it. So I'm going to try to use the power of consciousness to somehow overturn the damage that it's going to cause, and connect everybody to God, which will save them. I don't know what he's thinking. It could be something like that.
It's almost like a reverse psychology that, like, he doesn't want the people that follow him to dafka follow him, to follow his words.
That's another thing. That's,
you know what I mean?
That's different than what I'm saying.
He knows that people are like, in general, it's human nature that when you tell people to do something, they want to do the opposite. Unless you scare the crap out of them, and even then.
No, but that could be, but that's the opposite of what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
What I'm saying is that, but he wants to extend, like, I think he has some notion that there's a divine hand.
Of course he does.
That was guiding him, or was guiding him, or is guiding him. It's not clear to me anymore.
For sure.
Okay. Because it's so horrendously devastating that he doubled down on this schmack scene.
Yeah.
And there's no way he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm tired. Like, we got to look at it in reality.
Of course he knows.
We have to stop. We can't be delusional.
He probably talks
There's
to
no way
Rand
at this
Paul
point that
every
he
day.
doesn't know that it's not good.
He's probably texting with Rand Paul all the time. With Rand Paul, with whomever, It's just it's such a shame how your brother was in contact with all these people way in the beginning, and now he is in not total, but almost total obscurity.
He's not in total obscurity at all.
Not total obscurity,
actually,
but
no, he actually has very powerful, I would say, allies. Not like a truckload, but some very key figures, like Senator Ron Johnson.
Okay.
He's a powerful senator, and he's only going to get more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Very supportive of my brother's work of early treatment, and he just all the time he brings it up. He's like, there are a few people out there. I'd like to think that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there are people, whatever. I'm not going to get too much into it, but Ron Johnson has made many public statements about it. That's why I can talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and there are others. Okay. So I don't know. It's hard to weed through all this nonsense. But the main point, just going back to the main point, we talked about the Lubavitcher Rebbe and all of those overlapping things that Trump did on those Lubavitch holidays, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just over and over and over again. It's just, it's clearly not coincidence anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just 15 examples is just not a coincidence.
Yeah.
So there's clearly something going on.
Unless Ivanka was getting stuff, but then we checked some of these other dates where there's no way she could have been.
Yeah, the day that he's acquitted, the day that he's, I mean, come on. So basically, it's not Ivanka, dude. Okay, even Ivanka couldn't arrange something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a little bit of shtick there, I don't actually know her.
Yes.
I'm just pretending like she can do anything, right?
She's pretty talented.
I think her father thinks that.
Yeah, she's pretty talented.
I don't know anything about her, but I know her father loves her very much. Okay, so basically, I think that there's something. I can imagine some kind of sci-fi scenario. Now, I have to go really sci-fi for any of this to make sense. So on the one hand, we got to understand, you got to take this with a grain of salt, and on the other hand, is a very, very slight possibility that it might necessarily be something like this. It might actually have to be something like this.
Yeah.
Because if we want to stay on the premise that Trump is good and he's still on the side of good, then it's going to have to be something in this ballpark. Okay? Which is that this particular this schmack-scene, right? This virus and this schmack-scene are some kind of agent of, let's say, of forced, a trigger of some kind of upward or downward movement on a global scale. Okay? Perhaps there was thought that it might have some kind of parv nature until it's activated by some artifact of consciousness. Meaning, imagine you have some kind of substance, right, which can alter your DNA, right, and it can trigger your evolution to your ascendancy, right, in the next stage of existence, or it can turn you back into a monkey, right? Imagine it's something like that. Okay, and the actual thing that triggers this change has to do with a mindset, like your mind, the non-local part of you, right? The part that interacts with this physical substance, which we call a body, and a brain, which is a filtration for our consciousness. It filters. It doesn't produce our consciousness. It's like a receiver for it, right? Yeah. So it excludes all the other channels. So we only have a little sliver.
If it didn't do that, the light would make our heads explode. Something like that.
Well, I mean, it might. There might need to be a reconfiguration, which I think. So for instance, like the bodies of Hanoch, right, and Eliyahu Hanavi, they were transformed. These were people who ascended to heaven without dying. That means their physical bodies were transformed to the type of body and substance that can exist in the heavens, in heaven, whatever that means, okay? And without having to die. So something physical, there was a physical transformation of their bodies, okay? So what if there's some kind, what if that's happening now, okay? And on some level, okay? So imagine a substance. Well, we have this idea, right? Like this light that's going to come and affect the world, and then it's going to kill the wicked, and it's going to nourish the righteous, and it's going to kill the wicked. It's the same stuff, but the righteous will die, and the wicked will die, and the righteous will live. Do you remember that? Have you heard this concept before? That when Mashiach comes, there's going to be this light which burns the wicked and nourishes the righteous. Greg, you with me? Greg has fallen asleep. Once again, I have put Greg to sleep. Greg!
Yes.
You fell asleep, you son of a bitch.
Oh my goodness.
No, this one, you know what? I think the last thing that I said, right?
Yeah.
Stay awake right now. We're going to stop with this, okay? Because I think I might be onto something, okay?
Okay.
Can you stay with me? Stay with me. Get up. You might be lying down right now, so just stand up for like 10 seconds.
I'm going to just sit up. There we go. Okay. Oh, goodness. By the way, just real quick, my friend, the one who has been receiving your brother's protocol, just wrote to me, my cough is getting worse and deeper. What should I tell him?
I told your friend many times to contact Synergy.
Mm-hmm.
Many times.
Okay.
I told, and then he seems to be refusing to do so. I also highly doubt that he took everything that was prescribed to him. To call it a hunch.
Gosh. Ridiculous.
Okay. I told him this days ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so there are people who harass you, drive you crazy, and never let you off the phone, and contact you many times, but then they never listen to anything that you say.
Yeah, it's just it's annoying.
Okay, so that's a side point. But basically, have you heard of the idea that when Mashiach comes, there's going to be a light which will burn the wicked and nourish the righteous? You've heard of this idea, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so perhaps this is what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now that could be on many levels. So what if? Who's to say? Could it be the virus that is part of that light that is functioning as that light? Could it be the schmaxine? But then again, what is there's always an antithesis to the light. There's also a darkness.
Yeah.
You never know which one is which.
Yep. That's true.
Understand? And on a higher level, above everything, above or beneath the turbulent waters, right? There's all this allegory about you have turbulent waters, but when you go beneath it, it's calm, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like all that storm, right?
Yeah.
So either beneath it or above it or transcending it, there's something going on which has to do with Mashiach and the development of humankind, moving on to its next level. Okay, so the schmaxines and the viruses could be the medium of it,
of course,
but it could have the property of it could take you one way or the other. So I think that there are people who think that they can influence that.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but also, there's no reason to think that they are correct.
Exactly.
So how do you decipher through all this BS?
I have absolutely not the faintest idea, man.
I know how to.
Okay.
I know how to. First of all, don't take anything. You don't need anything. The only people who ended up going to take this crap, right, are the people who get either into the wires physically and spiritually, right?
Yeah.
And they think that they can manipulate their way through it, or people who have zero consciousness whatsoever.
Yeah.
Right? So they just go with the flow and they believe whatever they're told.
Wait, including these very smart, like, religious people who are supposedly tapped in?
They're not. You can't. That's proof that you're not. Okay? So all you need to do.
Some people have internal conflicts. You know what I mean?
Right. So
they're back and forth.
So it's possible that those who end up taking the schmaxine, right?
Yeah.
Who don't have that consciousness, right? Yeah. If they're, if like, let's say like Trump thinks he can send out a frequency to affect their minds in a sense where they can begin to develop a consciousness where it could be amplified, right? Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to make every excuse I can think of for him. Right?
Listen, what about the guy that slandered your brother and doubled down? And I told you that the guy gives a seminar on Dafka consciousness. What the heck is wrong with him? He just made his bed and now he just wants to like justify for himself, or what?
No. There's a new age industry that the word consciousness is peddled around there, and he's part of that. That's what I think. Yeah. Okay, it's just a living. It's a living.
It's like a phony, basically.
It's sort of like Norm MacDonald. He's like he tells a joke about Andy Richter.
Yeah.
He's like he goes, when we started out, I was working at Art's deli and coffee shop, bussing tables, right? And then Andy came up and said, "Hey, I'm gonna buy you breakfast." He goes, "Andy, I don't know. I mean, I eat really expensive. I eat steak and eggs." Mm-hmm. He goes, "Don't worry." He goes, "I made $490.05." Mm-hmm. He goes, "Well, what'd you do?" He goes, "Well, I'm a male prostitute." He goes, "But Andy, you're not gay." He goes, "Well, a fella has to make a living, Anyway,
the heck?
So it's just it's a living. He always used to make fun of Andy Richter. Anyway, so a fella has to make a living. That's what it comes down to a lot of these people. Okay, but a person who has consciousness, who has an intuition, it expresses itself as just straightforward common sense and critical ability to think critically in the simplest ways. Okay, like just kind of like put two and two together, not get too crazy into the wires.
It's like today,
right?
This guy needed to know. I posted that list of all the athletes, right? And it's a very, very, very detailed. Somebody literally made a amazingly detailed database of the athletes with pictures and like what happened. Was it the guy left the world and the guy's injured, whatever. And this guy goes to me, well, what I'd like to see is compare that with the guys who what would have happened if they weren't schmaxinated and they got schmovid? Would they also collapse like this? I'm like, dude, you don't need to see any studies. I'm telling you that there hasn't been one athlete who did that happened to, and because a bunch of them were getting shmovid before the existence of the shmek scenes, and there wasn't been one guy who collapsed.
That wasn't recently.
You don't need a study. You don't need a study. I'm telling you, there hasn't been one guy collapsed. Believe your lying eyes. You don't need a freaking study, man.
So there are people.
I know sports. I watch sports every damn day. To my regret. Sports.
Well, yeah, I won't disagree with you there.
And this guy's just like, and then you know what he goes? I'm like, first of all, they're not gonna have the studies, and I'm like, but I'm not gonna go do the research for you. You go go and Google. He's like, but I don't trust the data. I'm like, so if you don't trust the data, it's Zaybis.
Yeah, so if you don't trust the data, why do you trust the data on taking it?
Exactly, verstees.
You understand what I'm saying? So
it's like the people. Yeah, it's like my friend. I told him, about the VAERS. I'm like, dude. But let's look at the VAERS data. He's like, well, this guy works in medical field. He's like, the VAERS system is BS. I'm like, so what you're telling me is that the CDC that puts out the VAERS is BS. So the CDC is not BS when they're telling you recommendations, but they're BS when they're talking about the VAERS. Dude, you just put me in the rock and a hard place. So what am I supposed to show you? What are we supposed to go by? How do we know where to look to figure out the MS of what's safe or not? How can we have this discussion? I asked the guy.
Okay. All right, you're.
Sorry, dude. I'm just. You understand? It's maddening. It's enough to drive you insane.
I'm being driven insane all day long.
Yeah.
And I know exactly how you feel. That's why
And it's just so basic. And I tell this guy, dude, you don't have. It's Stevie Wonder can see this. This is basic. This is like low hanging fruit. You don't have to go into abstract. The stuff your brother talks about with schmab and schmates and all these depopulation. Just look in front of your eyes.
Right. So let's go to the concept of the ministering angels just for a moment. So imagine a scenario like this. This is just hypothetical.
I feel like
thinking.
I need some Palo Santo or some
Some what?
Palo Santo. It's like whatever. It's like incense. Just to like.
No. There's none of that. No, we're not new age here.
I feel like I need some Joe Rogan DMT. To go into.
No, I'm kidding. You end up going to the city of Luz and you bring your schmutz with you, and then all of a sudden you're seeing half humans with human upper body with the lower body of a pickup truck or something like that. That's what people they would see like
go live on a horse on a what is it? Get a horse and live on a mountain.
Yeah, exactly. Go suck on a green whale. Right? So basically. No, so what I'm saying is like this. Just hear me out, man. We're trying to do some serious work here. So hypothetically speaking, God said, okay, it's time to bring the redemption. Let's examine the state of people. So basically, here's what I think it boils down to. What are they looking for, right? Mm-hmm. Perhaps they were given orders to look for who has a personal intuitive relationship with God, right? Mm-hmm. And who's like, let's say that their private relationship with God is what actually steers their behavior through life.
Yeah.
Right? And who just kind of looks around, who doesn't have that, who doesn't try to cultivate that, they don't have that, and what they do, they look to the crowd. They just look to where's the tide. They're just looking to see what is everybody else doing. Yeah. Where's everybody else running? What direction is everybody else running to?
The case of some of my friends, I just want to proceed with life. I have a job. I have to go do this. I just want to proceed with life.
Proceed with that's death.
Yeah, I know.
They want to proceed. They want to proceed with death.
I tell these people, in order to proceed with life, you need to be alive.
Yeah. No, but what they consider life, it looks like death to me.
Yeah. I know.
So basically, it's just
not even. No, listen. Like these are people who are like teaching Torah, and they can't teach Torah, or in some
right. So what if
in some venue they can't have their own. They can't run their business unless they go whatever.
I'm very long-winded, but I'm almost at the point where I think like I finally be able to like get to what the hell my point is. I understand why.
Yeah.
I understand why you get ADD,
I get
bored,
antsy,
and
bro.
I'm like, I'm talking for like 7 hours. Here it is.
Dude, you know that
What
people when they see my Rogue videos, some of them wrote on my Rogue videos, you know, you must not have any respect for people's time. Get on with it. And these are like 20-minute videos. 20 minutes, not 2 hours.
Man, the attention span of people, like it's not just about the the destination, but it's like the process of getting there. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's like Rabbi Kessin.
So,
you got to listen to the whole thing. You can't just. Anyway.
Yeah. So, what if it comes down to this? Think about this. This would be like incredible. What if the only thing that this light of Mashiach, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what if it really just boils down to, do you have a relationship? Do you have your intuition, right? The thing that guides you, your inner voice, right?
Yeah.
Is it guided by your relationship with God, right? Or do you not have that and you just go by whatever everybody else is doing? To make yourself feel safe, to be able to navigate through life, you just want to look around and see what is everybody else doing, and to make yourself feel safe, and without having a personal intuition and a private one-on-one relationship with God.
Yeah.
Whoever has the private one-on-one relationship with God that's being guided by that will be guided away from taking the shmecks. Yeah. And whoever doesn't is just going to go along with it, and just have the fate of the herd that's being led off the cliff. Yeah. So what if that's really what it just comes down to? So you have these ministering angels, and they're scanning people, right? And they're creating a situation where that one little characteristic is what remains, and the people who don't have it are don't make it. Yeah. Right? Sometimes it most often it expresses itself by the ability to be calm, to think critically, to not automatically go do what everybody else wants to do, to have an inner
Can I tell you something?
peace.
There's a very small nuance to what you're saying. I think there are these people who do have the consciousness, who do have this and who do have that, and they had a momentary lapse, and I think that Hashem has to somehow figure out a way how to have rachamim on Dafka, that segment of people. There's a lot of people like this, whether it was people that Dafka had no choice. I literally had people come to me, again, the regrettables. Either the regrettables, or people come to me, I wasn't gonna, this guy told me yesterday, he works in a hospital, he's like, and he has literally 4 kids to feed, and there was like no choice at the time, and he's just like, I wasn't gonna, he's like, I didn't want to do it. If I wasn't forced, I wouldn't do it. I don't believe in this shit, No,
but again, it's like where does your paycheck come from?
No, I understand. For sure, for Stace, obviously.
That's what I'm saying. The people who understand where their paycheck comes from.
He does, but it's like, again, people are huge.
There is no but.
People are huge. I'm telling you, it's a momentary lapse, man. It's a momentary.
I've
had. You think I haven't had my momentary lapses? Not momentary, like for years, where I just was like, God is literally not helping me with Parnassa. God is literally not, because He wasn't.
I'm speaking generally.
I know, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, anybody could have had a moment. Like,
of course.
My whole thing, dude, is actually, it's a full admission. Actually, less even to do with God. I'm just one of these weirdos who doesn't. I just have a rule. I don't put foreign crap into my body. I had one bad experience with some drug, an antibiotic in 2009. It fucked me up to some extent, a little bit, for a certain period of time, and I vowed, I'm not trusting these pricks again, and that's basically it. It's got actually very less to do with God, but now at this point, it's more to do with God in the sense of less about putting stuff in my body, which I know I'm not going to do, but less about, or more about, the conversations I have with people and not buckling to the pressure, but just like letting their stupidity get to me. That's the thing that I need God to help me with. I don't need God to convince me or to connect to God to know that I shouldn't take the thing. I have a fear of the thing, actually, of the needle. No, of not fear, but like I have a I know it's dangerous, right? I don't need God to tell me. What I need God to do for me is make me strong in these battles with people. That's what I need Him to do for me.
So what I'm saying
this is the battle.
That the kind of intuition I'm talking about, right, is like, it's not. I'm not saying that everybody that has it is like literally saying, "Okay, God, where to next?"
Yeah,
that's not what I'm saying.
Oh, for sure, I know.
I'm saying that there are people who have, they have their inner voice, and they respect that. They have the somehow they figured out that is not something to be dismissed.
For sure.
And the people who dismiss it are the ones who cannot think. They are removed from the ability to think critically.
You want to know what the sad part is? There's a lot of people who have allowed, actually, I'm saying maybe heresy right now. They have allowed the Torah, the lamdus, mechanical lamdus aspect of the way that they learn Torah, to block, and this is something that Rav Dror, my rabbi, talks about, to block their just natural, organic dveikus with Hashem. They've got it into their heads that the way that they're going to find dveikus is get into the text, or the way that they're going to get, siyata d'shmaya and everything they need good in life is to get into the text. Yes, that is a path, that is a method. But what happens is sometimes that method can block your neshama, because you get too much into your brain, and
right.
Into your. It's not even too much in your brain. You get too much into the text, where you think the text is gonna bring you to the place of it's called das Torah, but in reality it's not das Torah. It's just
right.
It's just being a lamdusnik. What we call.
Right. So if somebody, let's say, like for whatever reason, right, I feel like I was born like with thinking or knowing that there's a God. Like I've never in my life.
Same.
Right. Not everybody can say that.
By me, it wasn't. By me, it wasn't initially knowing there's a God. By me, it was one of those things. Like I literally distinctly remember this. I'm 6 or 7 years old.
No, but the point of me saying this,
and I'm already asking internally,
I'm not. I didn't want to start. See, basically,
who made us?
Cut it off. If we cut it off here, then it's going to sound like, I always knew that. I'm not trying to talk about.
No. I know. I'm just saying, like
the point is the following. Hold on. The point is the following. That let's say you have somebody who just kind of always just had kind of like a relationship with God, not a specifically religious one, just kind of knows there's a God, and just kind of talk to him. You know what I mean? Like just have that natural, just default state of being.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't have a name. It's not
like kids with their
that.
Imaginary friend, but it's deeper than that.
It's just God. Yeah. I don't know. It goes beyond words.
Yeah,
There's no really way to describe it. It's just God. He's just there, like your grandma and your grandpa, and it's like you can't imagine them not being there. But so let's say people have this, right? And then they never learned the Torah, they never learned the text, right? Yeah. But they have this kind of default relationship with God. Yeah. And so when they go to yeshiva, so I'm pretty sure that the yeshivas back in the day were like that raw state that you're in right now, that you're coming here with. Don't you dare lose that. That's your primary
and they had actually thing. And we still have a lamdus that talks about just that. Without even going to the Talmud, we have a lamdus, we have Monsieur Shisharm, we have the Tanya that just talks about that to the student who's reading about himself, essentially. And it just gives you mechanics for that. So
right.
What I'm
so the point is saying like this, like the Torah should be. It actually does say, it goes, if you didn't have Torah, you could learn humility from a cat, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't have like that kind of like
Yeah.
Avraham.
Yeah.
Why was Avraham? We're talking about an Avraham-like state before God actually began speaking to him directly. Like Avraham, his whole feeling, his thought process, he was born with this kind of, knowledge and this feeling, this intuition that he kept pursuing, that there's one God who runs everything, who's everything is really controlled by him, everything is really projected from him, and he understood all these things before God even spoke to him. It was a natural thing, one would say. Okay, so we learn about Abraham a lot for that reason, and we learn about his life and the kind of person he was for that reason, so that we can continue to cultivate that, and so that Torah, by the actual learning of the Torah, it doesn't cover over that, but enhances it.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah, no, I'm listening. Yeah.
No, that's it. That's all. That
so
was the point.
It's just interesting to me how people have got it into their heads that, how should I put this? Like you mentioned, those big rabbis who think that they can manipulate the wiring or whatever
I don't
it is.
know. It's speculation.
What's amazing to me is those guys are Dafka tapped in, and they, there's I'm not gonna say his name. There's a rabbi in Israel who he's the last person I would think to suggest this. Not only suggest it, but say that it's a mitzvah to do so. He is the last person I would have thought. Some of these rabbis are the last people I would have thought. These are people who are like, they
got to make sure.
Listen. These are people
that they actually made it. Like you have to hear, like, see their writing or video statement.
No.
Or
They've
something.
said it. No. These people. This is not Kanievsky situation. There's no obfuscation here. And these are people who at every turn, when it comes to other things, other issues, go against the government. And they at every turn they say the government is Rishoyim and Erev Rav, and the government is stopping us from building here, and the government's dismantling us here. By the way, I think I'm saying this openly, and whoever's listening can,
Kiss your ass.
kiss my tuchus or argue with me. Today they wanted to, dismantle a yeshiva in Chomesh. It's the little hilltop where that guy got killed last week, and where they just had a funeral for him. And 15,000 settlers, whomever, Dati Leumi people showed up over there, crying and this, don't do this, don't do that. And I know that Hashem is just like punishing these leaders, and by extension these poor people, because a man with a kippah, the last person you would think that would dismantle a place like this fat Super Mario brother with no soul anymore, is the one that's doing this. And Hashem is just like, you guys follow these people, so here you go follow them off a cliff, and no more yeshiva for you in this holy place, in this hilltop, and go cry, and stand in the mud in the winter of Israel, and go cry and beg to your kippah guy to save you, because he's not going to save you, because he's just like the rest of them, and he's worse than any leftist that ever lived. That's my opinion.
I see it.
What do you think?
I think it's possible, but I'm always weary to try to figure out why God does anything, or is he punishing someone? Is he not punishing someone? Is this the reason why he did this or that?
It's not a punishment. It's a lesson. It's a wake up freaking call.
Whatever. No, that's what a punishment
is. That these people will realize that they voted for the wrong guy, or that they're supporting the wrong guy. You know what I'm saying?
You see, I don't know. I don't think so. You know why? Because I'm watching people during this whole situation ever since the American election.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I'm watching people, and it just seems like nobody is making any decisions whatsoever.
Yeah.
It seems like we're past the point.
Well, Rabbi Kessin said we're in a holding pattern. It's like a plane flying around just.
Yeah, we're past the point where you read the Torah and you say, God watching to see what these people do, right?
People doing nothing.
Based on that, he'll act. I don't think we're there anymore.
Yeah.
I just think we're now on some kind of because again, nobody's going to make the right decision. It's so clear that the majority of people already made the wrong decision.
Even so much as right after this whole thing happened, the election, and all these Republican people, even Trump's, he should, these Russians. Ну, конечно, он не пошел туда, он делал ошибку здесь. All these freaking, these Russian Monday morning Davidson radio quarterbacks, you know what I'm saying? Davidson radio. Ну, он меня очень, he disappointed me. And of course, he went to January 6th, and он должен был так сделать, и так, и такие пидорасы, блядь. Pardon my language.
Yeah.
Turncoat MFers. Losers.
Right. That's because, look, we're supposed to do something, right? Since the majority of people, including myself, I can't,
What would these people do in Stalingrad? Go swim in the freaking thing, Volga? Or what?
I don't know, man, But, what I'm saying is that it seems like when people didn't, there's ways where people could protest in a real way. Yeah. What is going on over there, right? Yeah. They could say, look, we are now, it's clear to us what has happened. We don't live in a representative democracy anymore. Yeah. Our votes are not respected. We're not going to participate. We're not going to show up to any more votes at all.
It's banana republic.
We don't consider you legitimate leaders at all.
It's like Assad in Syria. Half the people don't consider him legitimate.
We're not sending you any more money. Yeah. We are not watching you on television anymore. Yeah. We're not having anything to do with you anymore. We are not paying you anymore. We're not going to listen to any of your directives, okay? And we're not going to go and attack you. But if you come to us trying to force us, then it's war.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's what would have been I suppose that was the last time perhaps that we had a choice to really do something. You're not getting my money, and you're not getting my attention anymore. That's the primary thing.
Yeah.
Okay? If you shut off the перекрыть кислород financially.
Yeah, the spigot. Yeah.
Close it. No more campaign finance contributions. No more no more viewership for Fox. No more. Nobody cares about, where everybody starts immediately sending letters, calling, saying we're not. Everything is shut off. The people who, let's say, who are in charge of infrastructure to make it go, right? Mm-hmm. The truck drivers, for instance, right? Mm-hmm. They said, well, that's it. The country's shutting down.
Yeah.
The military, right? Mm-hmm. What they should have done is, we are not going to follow your illegitimate orders. Yeah. We are taking a knee. We're not going to go and start killing people, attacking people, but we are not your military force
there's a theory. Well, to what you're saying, there's a very wacky theory that there's like a military, and then there's a military. So there's a military.
Oh, here it comes with the white hats and the black hats. I don't know.
No, I'm not positing. I'm just saying there is one.
I know. I keep hearing this and whatever, So there's some kind of Star Wars going on somewhere in the next galaxy. I don't give a damn. If that's what's happening and I'm not part of it, then why should I care about it?
Exactly.
They didn't bother to tell me that something's actually going on and there's something I can do. Yeah. So if they have this whole separate breakaway, fight on their own, then let that happen. Why should I hear about it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't believe it, but even if what's the point anyway? So, the point is that the turn off Fox, stop paying your taxes, stop participating in that kind of thing.
How do we stop paying our taxes? But then they just put a lien on your house.
No, but. What I'm saying is, if this happened en masse, do you understand?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If the truck drivers said that there's no more, forget it. The country is coming to a halt until this is done. No more supplies, no more work. right?
Yeah.
If the workers, I'm not talking about the government bureaucrats. I'm talking about the citizens. If they, the people who are responsible for making the country go, right? The gardeners don't show up anymore. The truck drivers stop. The airplane pilots do not fly anymore, right? The bus drivers say, no, we're not showing up to work. We can't stand to live in this tyranny where our rights and our votes, our voices are not.
I think the people that this is listen. This is the Dafka. The point is the fact that we have been demoralized into such a Mitzrayim state of consciousness that people people they value their parnasa over their or perceived whatever safety, which is not really safety, over their supposed freedom.
You've been isolated from your neighbors. You've been separated. You might all live on the same block, but you don't really live together.
Yeah, okay? People have been demoralized. They've been demoralized.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've allowed them to separate you to six. Okay. So here's the last, in my view, the last real choice that anybody has. I don't think there's going to be any kind of like mass where people get together and movement and make any real difference. No. Now all that's left is this. Yeah. Are you going to allow a poison, an experimental, are you going to be a guinea pig? And okay, fine, if you decided to be that, okay, and here's the last thing. Are you going to allow them to pump your child with poison death? Are you going to allow that? Yeah. If you are, you do not exist.
Yeah.
You don't have a soul. You don't have a heart. You have nothing. You are just a cog in a machine. You're not a living being anymore.
Yeah.
Fuck you, you son of a bitch. You're putting this garbage into your child. You don't deserve to have an existence. You don't deserve to have a personality, a soul, and a character.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's the last choice. So I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's avodah zarah. So any person who does that is, zeo.
Just don't sacrifice your kid. That's it. Just don't do that. And
it's very simple. Yeah. My friend, it's been 2 hours and 37 minutes.
I wanted to say this last thing. Okay,
do your thing. Yeah.
And I can do it in 10 seconds if you don't interrupt me. You bastard.
Do it. You bastard.
You bastard. All right.
Oh, see, that was pretty good. That was better than me.
That wasn't bad, right?
That was pretty good. That was better than me.
No, I think I just somehow it was an accident. It was
because it's not difficult to be the silly husband from Rhode Island. Anyway.
It's like Chief Wiggum from Simpsons. Like. Anyway, here it is. The point. What we're trying to accomplish with these, conversations, right? Which we actually want people to hear, is that we're sick and tired of theatrical religious horseshit.
Yeah.
We're sick and tired of Sesame Street Judaism, of sterile, non-real, real, because basically real life is actually triple X rated. That's real life.
We're sick and tired of the American Balshuva shtick. I love you all, but I'm tired of your stuff, guys. Wake up and smell the herring.
No, that's okay. No, that we didn't get to that part. That part is no. But hold on. See, I could have been done.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
So there's kind of a Sesame Street Dr. Philivization of life in Judaism. It's like when you go to yeshiva, or you go to your shul, and your rabbi is Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
And then while you're there, right, you're in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood for a few moments.
Hey, boys and girls.
And then when you leave Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, you immediately get stabbed, raped, robbed, molested, just immediately.
No, but you know what people will say? They're like, that's why the Torah is where you should be.
Right. So the point is like this, that they bring you, when you go to shul, you're going to Sesame Street, but it's not supposed to be Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Okay? It's supposed to be Main Street.
Yeah.
And because that's the real reality.
Didn't used to be that way until
Main Street.
Didn't used to be that way until a certain point. It used to be that way.
It used to be that way in ancient Israel, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
when we got into the exile, and we got the people became more. The people became more children-like,
sheepish and docile,
right,
and idle.
Right. So the point is that it's now that I want, because I know the Torah is real, right? So I want
people to be real.
I want it to seep into the reality of the world and expose the Torah that's there.
Yeah.
I didn't make the world the way that it is.
Yeah.
I didn't create porn. I didn't create, people getting, stabbed. I didn't create that. But apparently, we're supposed to look at the world as how it is,
and apparently
see the Torah.
And apparently, these kind of situations also happened in the Torah, where Mashiach comes from rape. How's that?
Right.
The line of Mashiach comes from a rape of a hooker. How's that?
The Torah is a rape
Skippy?
of a hooker. No. It was actually, if anything, Yehuda got raped.
Whatever. No, I'm saying, like,
it wasn't Tamar.
Yeah, no, I know. No, I'm just like, there's stuff that's, like, going on that... Hello?
So, I know. So it's like that's why nobody takes Torah seriously.
Yeah.
Because anybody who has any sense of reality, who's not like a completely childlike mind, right? When they go, the type of person that you are creating by teaching them Mr. Rogers' world is a person who can only exist in Mr. Rogers' little bubble.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So he can only live on Sesame Street. Yeah. He can't go anywhere else. But sometimes you have to. And you're not preparing people to go to reality.
Can I tell you something? There's a wonderful show which my Yemenite friend thinks is a Hillel Hashem. And it's a show in Israel called Yehudim Bayim. It means the Jews are coming. And the show is produced by a bunch of these, like, kind of, I guess you can call them leftists, I'm not sure. And it's on the channel Khan, which is a publicly funded channel in Israel. But they make very, very funny skits about Torah and, like, Tanakh and Jewish history. One of the skits they have is about Purim. And it's very funny. It's this whole, and I'll send it to you, and they have subtitles. So they're depicting basically Esther Malka is like, there's like, oh, so you want me to, pretend to be a zonah, like a hooker, to like entice this guy to save the Jewish people. He's like, well, I wouldn't call it that. There's like this whole back and forth, like kind of who's on first. Well, like I wouldn't use those words, but essentially, this is, I'm a zonah, I'm a hooker, I'm a whore, and like some people could take that as Hilul Hashem, and other people can look at that as like, that's the story. That's Dafka, the story that happened. That is exactly what she did. And they made it funny, these guys, Yehudim Bayim. But that's actually Dafka kind of the story.
Well, right.
If you freaking think about it.
And it is a Hillel Hashem, because even if that is the case, and on some level it is, so you should make it into a tragic drama.
For sure.
Because if you see, imagine Esther watching that, and she's like saying that this is the worst, most painful thing I've ever gone through in my life.
Yeah.
They're making a, they're
they're making a mockery of it. But the point is they're trying to actually tackle the thing in its reality. They're not trying to they're not trying to invite children to read Megillat Esther and go woo 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 with a freaking noisemaker.
No, but there's a little bit of a difference.
Because this was a near genocide. You're gonna have children listen to near Auschwitz or what?
Right.
It was nearly Auschwitz.
I get.
You understand what I mean?
So I'm not against emphasizing the reality.
Jeez,
I am against making a big joke out of it.
Yeah, for sure. No, I get
That's
it.
Fucked up.
No, it is. No, I get it. I'm just saying, like, they're trying to make it. they're trying to engage people in Israel to care about the Torah, and they think they're going to do lowest common denominator, right? So that's their whole thing. I'm just saying, like, yeah, I mean, we're taking kids to listen to a near, it's like they had to get all the Jews to fast so they won't get annihilated.
It was like a Sophie's choice,
Yeah.
scenario rather than a big joke. You know what I mean? Like, there's ways to do it right.
No, I hear.
I really want to make an impact.
I hear. I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
Anyway, so the point is, that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to have these conversations, and we're trying to engage with the Torah and with God based on what we're seeing and based on the actual Torah. Like, even the Torah is censored in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, what is that famous question?
Do you know?
At what age
do
you teach? At what age do you teach? Kids start teaching them the stories of the parshas of Shmois. The scary parshas of Shmois. At what age? Like, I mean,
I'm reading Sefer Shoftim with my dad. We get to Shimshon halfway through the story. Shimshon goes to Gaza. He sees an innkeeper and he goes into her, which most people translate as he saw a prostitute and he went.
The story of Tu B'Av, everything leading up to that was like freaking ISIS versus Al Qaeda.
Right.
And then we get to the happiest day in the Jewish calendar.
So what have we? So you know what? So here's what we come to, just a realization. Let's just say it come out.
Yeah.
They are not teaching the Torah.
Mm-hmm.
They're censoring the Torah.
Yeah.
They're censoring the reality of the Torah.
It's a Catholicization of Judaism that came about in Europe. It's a Gaullist thing.
It's a Sesame Streetization of it's an infantilization. It's making everything childlike, creating a like you're sitting like a little child sitting in front of the TV watching Barney instead of reality.
Babality, Mortal Kombat, babality, Babality.
Yeah. So right. So when it comes down to it, they're actually not teaching the Torah. In fact, they're filtering and censoring it.
Yeah.
So I heard this. There's Rabbi Gerfein.
Gedalia Gerfein, yeah. He's
Gedalia Gerfein, right? So he did the People's Talmud project, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he reads like statements from the Talmud which like are incredible, where it says you have to make love when you make love to your wife, you have to do it like a demon does.
Well,
like what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it probably means like something like it has to be passionate and it can't be like gentle and you can't be Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
The bedroom between a man and wife is not Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's not even Mr. Rogerson's neighborhood.
It's not even Mr. Robinson, yeah.
Okay? Mr. Robinson,
girl.
My bad. Who is it? Man, who is it? Anyway, so that's what these conversations are about, and hopefully, yeah. Anyway, that's it.
That's all I got after 2 hours and 45 minutes.
And by the way, remember last time we were talking about the Cradle of Love video?
Yeah. No.
Well, I rewatched it again today,
Uh-huh.
and there's so much stuff that I'm missing. As soon as he opens the door for the girl, you hear police sirens, woo, 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 immediately,
and then
passing by.
And you think of the gay guy on the roof of San Francisco?
No, you're thinking about, the fact that he's like worried about, jailbait's going over, I'm in trouble right away.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Immediately.
Anyway.
All right.
Yeah, we got to reanalyze a lot of that stuff.
It's been real. Oh my goodness. I think I need a chill pill after this.
Well, that's a fine how do you do? Just to cap it off with Norm MacDonald. He said he did old man mannerisms. He's like, well, that's a holy crow. He's like, man alive. That's a fine how do you do?
I just love that there's like 30 minutes straight of him just like exposing OJ, and everybody was just like, yeah, that makes sense. Everybody knew. They knew. The whole country knew.
Okay, we're really going to end with this. I got to end because I just heard this. This is Norm MacDonald. Okay.
Yeah.
He said a joke. His goal was to make the audience laugh at stuff that they don't want to laugh at.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like this. He goes, studies show that it's mostly that women are the ones who cause most of the car crashes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like these graphs.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, and if you're wondering that these graphs, they don't add up to 100, we had women write those, design those graphs, right? And then everybody's like starts laughing, and then people start hissing all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And he goes, and then he said something like, I'm just kidding. It wasn't the women that wrote those graphs. We don't hire women. It's like, the people are like, and they're laughing.
Yeah.
They're like, he gets you to laugh at stuff that you don't want to laugh at, and that's his goal.
Yeah.
That's why he's a genius.
Yeah. And on that,
I did him no justice.
We will end, and Norm's neshama should have an aliyah. We should see him very, very soon, and laugh at his jokes.
He had a rabbi.
Did he? Oh yeah, he was starting to learn some stuff, shtickle, right?
Yeah, there's the Chabad Shliach in that area.
He was exploring something interesting.
He even made a comment about Norm MacDonald after he passed away, saying he made a little video saying, was Norm talking about Tzimtzum, and then just left it at that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll see soon enough.
All right, brother.
All right, man. Yalla. Peace.